Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. And for the next few hours, me and my panel will be taking on some of the big topics hitting the headlines right now. This show is all about opinion. It's theirs, it's mine, and of course it is yours. We'll be debating, discussing, and at times we will disagree, but no one will be cancelled. So joining me for the next few hours, Reform UK's 2028 London mayoral candidate Leila Cunningham, and also political commentator Aisha Ali Khan. So coming up in my niggle.
I'm sorry that Henry's life couldn't be saved that night, and I'm sorry that he was handcuffed and arrested in the moments before he lost consciousness. When his killer made that call to police, and he called the police, not the ambulance service, he lied on that call.
Yes, I'll be discussing the shocking murder of Henry Novak, who was arrested and handcuffed as he lay dying, as the police believed his murderer's version of events. I'll be laying out my thoughts in my niggle just after 4. Then, in the Great British Debate, I'm asking, are the government betraying the taxpayer over the small boats crisis? More migrants are currently on their way to Britain from France, with arrivals over the past 7 days topping 1,500. So I'm asking, are the government actually betraying us as taxpayers over this awful crisis? In difficult conversations, joining me, NHS nurse Julia Taylor, who's losing her voice due to a brain condition. Now she's fighting back through her book. She's published a children's book to help continue her legacy of caring for people and families affected by dementia. She'll be joining me in the studio just after 5. You won't want to miss that. But before we get started, let's get your latest news with Sam Francis.
Nana, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you. Just gone 3 o'clock. Well, the top story, Liverpool have sacked head coach Arne Slot after a disappointing defence of their Premier League title. The team have lost 19 times this season, leading fans to turn on the Dutchman. Sources insist the decision was taken with enormous reluctance, admitting it doesn't feel fair to sack a coach who has won the club's second league title in 30 years. Liverpool, though, says Slot leaves the club's deepest gratitude and respect. In other news, Donald Trump has outlined his demands for extending the ceasefire with Iran following a meeting with top aides in the Situation Room yesterday. The US president says Iran must agree to never have a nuclear weapon, the Strait of Hormuz must reopen, and that any mines in the waterway are destroyed. Iranian officials say its nuclear program, though, is not up for negotiation, but that discussions are ongoing. Meanwhile, Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth has said the US is ready to restart attacks on Iran if a deal can't be reached. Australia, the UK and the United States are working together to develop unmanned undersea vehicles as part of their AUKUS Defence Pact. The programme includes plans to develop hypersonic, artificial intelligence and cyber technology. At a summit in Singapore, the Defence Secretary John Healey said for too long the trilateral pact had delivered too little, but added that it's now going to be changed and reaffirmed Britain's funding of £6 billion over this Parliament.
For too long with AUKUS, we talked too much and delivered too little. That has now changed, and today we confirm also the first ever signature project under Pillar 2 of AUKUS. This will rapidly give our forces the very most advanced battlefield technologies, as together we produce a range of cutting-edge sensors and weapons systems for undersea drones.
The UK could send more RAF jets to defend NATO's eastern flank. That's after a Russian drone strike injured 2 people in Romania. The drone hit a block of flats in the east of the country near the Ukrainian border. Sir Keir Starmer's described the incident as a serious violation of NATO airspace. 4 RAF Typhoons are already based in Romania, with Defence Secretary John Healey saying more could be deployed. He's also warned President Vladimir Putin's war is spreading beyond Russia and Ukraine. Hundreds of migrants are currently making their way across the English Channel from France this afternoon. The first of 3 small boats have already arrived in Dover. It's after 130 people arrived in the UK yesterday. Meanwhile, it's been revealed the Home Office is spending more than £1.2 million every year on Channel rescue boats. The fleet has already aided the crossing of more than 70,000 people since Labour came to power in 2024. A 16-year-old boy has been charged with murder after a 15-year-old was stabbed during a fight outside a house party in East London on Monday. Police were called to Hackney South after 7 p.m. following reports of a large gathering, disorder and people with machetes in Towpath Walk. Brian David Saldaria from Haringey was found with stab wounds in Polar Close, and despite efforts by emergency services, he sadly died at the scene. And questions are being raised in Washington over the transfer of Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, to a maximum security prison. Maxwell was moved shortly after being interviewed by the senior Justice Department officials, with US lawmakers saying the timing appears too coincidental. Later released transcripts show that during the interview, she denied witnessing any inappropriate behaviour involving President Donald Trump and called him a gentleman. Maxwell is serving 20 years for recruiting young girls for Epstein to abuse. The government here has welcomed a vote by Royal Mail workers to accept a deal on working arrangements and on pay. Members of the Communication Workers Union accepted the pay offer worth 4.5%. The Business Secretary Peter Carl says British posties work hard, but we now need to see a big improvement in Royal Mail performance for its loyal customers. Those are the 3 o'clock headlines. Plenty more still to come right here with the one and only Nana.
Good afternoon and welcome to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. It's just coming up to 7 minutes after 3 o'clock. I'm Nana Akua. Now, coming up in the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, are the government betraying the taxpayer over the small boats crisis? More migrants are currently on their way to Britain from France. Some, I think, are coming even further afield, with arrivals over the past 7 days topping 1,500. It's absolutely astronomical. So in the Great British Debate, I'm asking, are the government betraying the taxpayers over the small boats crisis? Then, in the next Great British Debate of this hour, I'm asking, do you believe Nicola Sturgeon is the victim? The former Scottish First Minister has said that she was deceived, betrayed and lied to by her estranged husband, Peter Murrell, as he embezzled hundreds of thousands of pounds from the SNP. But was she the victim? So in the Great British Debate, I'm asking you that very question. And prostate cancer screening is to be rolled out. Not out isn't to be rolled in, but not out, despite it being proven to save lives. Is the state of men's health, are they taking it seriously? The CEO of Prostate Cancer Research will be joining me. That is on the way. Your thoughts, your comments, gbnews.com/your say. Right, let's start with the latest on the Channel migrant crisis. And the first of at least 3 dinghies has made it to the UK today. And all of that follows the arrival of dozens of migrants on the south coast yesterday after making the journey in small boats. In the meantime, the Home Office is spending more than £1.2 million a year on Channel rescue boats. And look, don't even get me started on the accommodation and everything else that goes with it. And all of that as the government prepares to introduce AI technology to help determine the age of migrants arriving via the Channel, because they took something out of the migration bill which would have enabled them to do that. I mean, it's just beyond anything. All of that so they can identify if they try to pretend that they're not children. Why did they take that out of the illegal migration bill? I don't know. Right, let's speak to human rights lawyer David Hay. David, welcome to the programme. OK, so David, what can we do about this? We're just watching and waiting. We just watch and then they arrive and then we house them and that's it. That's it.
Good afternoon, Nana. I think, you know, the sad thing is that you and I, many times, it's Groundhog Day. Many times over the years, you and I have had this conversation and nothing's effectively been changed. The government's tinkered around the edges, much like the government before tinkered around the edges, but the big and medium changes that need to be made to change what's happening still haven't been made. So until that happens, and we know that's not going to happen under this government, you know, each time we have a sunny day, we're going to see more people crossing the Channel.
Well, didn't we have, so wasn't it the Tories' illegal migration bill, well, I think it was, or legal migration bill, whatever they called it, and there was a clause in there that enabled the government to try and use other means to identify those who come across the Channel via age. But isn't it the Labour Party that took this out of the bill when they came into office?
I think they did, and they also made a lot of other mistakes. I mean, one of the things that I think perhaps was a political error on their part as well was immediately changing around a policy. I don't think it would have worked, but I think what their mistake was in getting rid of it straight away, because then everybody will now sit here and think, could it have worked? So I think, you know, they've made a lot of mistakes. This is another one of them. But even, you know, with this back in, the main problems that stop us deporting people and the problems that basically bring people here, the draw factor, they haven't changed. And they are the big issues that need to be addressed, as well as the actual administration of the asylum cases when people get here, speeding it up. I don't see any changes to those big issues. And until you see changes there, and effective changes, and you can't tinker around the edges, then we're going to see this, like I said, every time there's sunny weather. And I hate to say it, but I'm sure this time next year, we'll probably be having a conversation about more and more people coming across.
Really, this whole situation a bit of a betrayal to the taxpayers, because I'm paying my taxes, I'm paying a lot of them, they keep going up and up and up, they find something else to tax every few seconds, they're spending more on welfare than they are getting in revenue in terms of tax take, which seems utter madness to me. And now, but they somehow have the capacity to house these people for up to £8 to 10 million pounds a day. And yet there seems no ending of this crisis, and everything they do doesn't sound like they're serious about it. Surely we as taxpayers have a right or say in some respects to I don't know, to mitigate against this. They're not doing their job.
No, I agree with you. No, it is a betrayal of the taxpayer because, you know, as a human rights lawyer, I sit here and, you know, Keir Starmer's a human rights lawyer, so you know what is going to work and what isn't going to work. They're wasting billions of British taxpayers' money on tinkering around the edges on things that will not work. That is a betrayal of the taxpayer because you're wasting the money, you're literally burning it. So until they change that, and the Tories did the same thing, it's not just Labour, so until you actually make the big, difficult decisions, things like the ECHR, things like conventions that are causing us problems, and invest in the structure here to keep things efficient and the asylum cases, it's not going to change. So it is a betrayal. It's taking the British people for fools, doing the same thing or similar, expecting a different result.
Can the taxpayer take the government to court? I know we'd end up paying for it, but can the taxpayer do anything about this? Because I think that they are betraying the number one duty of any government, which is to protect its own people. And they're not doing that because people are coming via the boats. They let them loose in this country without even checking who they are. We simply keep funding this and it just carries on. And as you say, the things they're doing, which are tinkering around the edges, will make absolutely no difference at all.
I think it's very difficult now. I mean, obviously, the best way to do it is at the ballot box, but obviously that may be a while away. But you know, you can do things like judicial reviews, and we see local councils up and down the country taking various things like asylum, accommodation, those types of policies. But it's very difficult to actually, you know, people to get together and go against the government in some form of legal action. The way to do it is at the ballot box.
Yeah, but we hear that, but we've got to wait at least 2.5 years around about that time. And I think that the injustice, a lot of people would be thinking, is actually enough now. Because how much more tax are they going to try and claw off us? How many more of these people are they going to allow to come to this country over that period of time? I think the taxpayer has a legitimate right to do something. I don't know what, but I feel that there must be something that we can do to make our government see that we're not prepared to pay for this. This wasn't the deal.
I agree with you, Nana, and I think, you know, like I said earlier, as a human rights lawyer, and you watch these policies coming in place that I know from the start are not going to work. They're not going to change anything. They're spending hundreds of millions on some of them, you know. But effectively, from a legal process, like I said, if you're looking at for an effective challenge to that by the people against the government, it's very difficult, if not impossible. It really, like I said, you can look at things like judicial review, but that really is just tinkering around the edges on various smaller kind of aspects of it all. The ballot box is really the only way, and like you said, it looks like we're going to have to wait a while for that.
That seems, well, I think it's just totally unfair. It makes me so angry. David Haig, thank you very much. He's a human rights lawyer. Well, let's now go to GB News' political correspondent, Olivia Utley, who has more on those small boats arriving. Olivia, what's the situation at the moment?
So we know that 3 small boats are making their way across the channel this morning. There's only been one day since last Friday when no migrants made it over to Britain. We know that boats' numbers are down overall in the first 5 months of 2026 compared to the first 5 months of 2025. The government's very proud of that. The big question is the only reason the number of boats is down in 2026 because up until the last week or so, it's been a very cold, wet, windy start to the year. I suppose the proof will be what happens over the next 3 or 4 months. What happens as the weather gets warmer and drier? Will we see boat numbers returning to what they have been before? I think it's also worth mentioning that 2025 was the highest year on record for small boats. So the fact there has been a dip, well, that's not very material. We need to look back and compare it to the last sort of 5-6 years. I mean, there are some developments. It's not surprising that the government is pleased so far with what seems to be happening because it is looking as though French gangs are struggling to operate on some beaches. The issue, of course, is that those gangs are just moving down to other beaches. French beaches, which have never been used before, are now being used for migrants to travel over. So I think there is a lot the government still needs to prove about its strategy. Meanwhile, I think it's quite interesting that ECHR legislation, which prevented the Rwanda policy from going ahead, that is now possibly being changed. So it could be that while we were prevented from going ahead with a third-party deportation scheme because of the ECHR might be now changing its mind, and that could give us a bit more freedom. I think what will perhaps be irritating to viewers and to general voters is, why do we have to wait for the ECHR to change its mind? But this is something the government doesn't look like it's going to shift on leaving the ECHR, but it could be that the ECHR changes its own rules after a lot of pressure from other European countries.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. This whole thing is absurd. Olivia Utley, thank you very much. That's Olivia Utley, GB News' political correspondent. Thank you. Right, well, it's just coming up to 17 minutes after 3 o'clock. It's time for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. Here are the details.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543.21 in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. Imagine all the things you could do with that cash. Give the garden a glow up, max out on a new motor, or just make sure the coming year is your year. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. Still to come in my niggle, I'll be discussing the shocking murder of Henry Novak, who was arrested and handcuffed as he lay dying as the police believed his murderous version of events. I'll be laying out my thoughts on this in my niggle just after 4. But coming up in the next Great British Debate, I'm asking, are the government betraying the taxpayer over the small boats crisis? This is GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Good afternoon, 21 minutes after 3 o'clock. Welcome on board if you just tuned in. Yes, you've come at a good time. You've only missed 20 minutes. But right now it is time for the Great British Debate. I'm asking, are the government betraying us, the taxpayers, over the small boats crisis? Now, hundreds of illegal migrants are currently crossing from France into Britain, which will take the number of illegal arrivals into just over 1 week, 1,500 people. Really? I mean, the smugglers continue to take advantage of this good weather. So I'm asking, are the government betraying the taxpayer over the small boats crisis? Well, joining me now is Reform UK's 2028 London mayoral candidate, Leila Cunningham, and also political commentator Aisha Ali Khan. All right, Leila Cunningham, I will start with you.
Well, one has to ask what is the policy for stopping the small boats? There doesn't seem to be one, because I think if you have the incentive, once you arrive here, whether it's 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, I don't think they're coming for, the time it takes for them to get citizenship or benefits. They're coming for arrival and acceptance. And while we let them arrive, let them claim asylum, pay for their stay, pay for everything else, they will keep on coming. That's it. It's as simple as that. And I don't see Labour or any party doing anything to stop that.
But is this a betrayal? Because as a taxpayer, I'm paying a lot of tax, right? I'm expecting that to go into good services to help the people of this country. I don't mind some of my taxes going to those that are less fortunate than me. That's exactly what they're meant for. But what really gets out my goat is the fact that these people have come from wherever it is. Many of them are not refugees. They are simply economic migrants. They've come because of the offers that we've got on here in this country. And then I have to pay for them through my taxes. Why?
Yeah,
I don't want to.
And you hit the nail on the head. You have to pay. Yes. You didn't vote to, by the way.
I didn't.
And just a quick scenario. I spoke to someone who's on 60k in London, went to a top degree, got a top university, barely had at the end of the month after rent, taxes, inflationary costs, everything, barely has enough to save up for a deposit to buy a house to live in. Barely making ends meet with rent. He's on the top 85% of earners. And a lot of that group are delaying having children, because if you don't have security of home ownership, you don't have children. And actually, when it does come the time for him to have children, he will probably move out of London because he can't afford to live there. Put that someone who arrives on a small boat, claims asylum, that asylum is considered, then he's granted refugee status. He's put in a Zone 2 flat because London houses a very large amount, the second in the country of refugees. He's put into a Zone 2 flat, doesn't have to worry about rent, taxes or anything, has security of home, and guess what? When he wants to have children, when he wants to bring his children over, he applies for a dependency to be flown over at the taxpayer's expense. They're given a bigger house in London, and they have more housing security in this city than this person who was born and raised here, did everything right, that has to move out when they have children. That is the betrayal that we're seeing right now.
Aisha Ali Khan, that can't be right, can it?
It isn't right, no, absolutely. And obviously, you started by saying, what is the government doing? And actually, for the last 2 years or so, we have been doing a lot more. Obviously, since Shabana Mahmood became Home Secretary, the new measures that she's implemented. We've got a new border security command now that's bringing together lots and lots of different elements, like counter-terrorism sort of measures as well, to target the gangs, the leaders of the gangs, the ones that are actually allowing these people to basically come over on the boats.
Are they allowing the people, or are we allowing them to come over? Because from what I can see, the only way to really stop these people is either to alter the ECHR in some way and the laws that are embedded within our country because of it, and lots of human rights legislation. They're not doing that, and that's That's the problem, isn't it? When they get here, we can't get rid of them at all because we're entangled in legislation. I don't see them untangling that at all.
I think we definitely have, we have made changes. We are literally deporting lots of people back. Obviously, there are negotiations in place with France before, as you know, before Brexit. We actually had a border in France that stopped migrants from crossing the channel, and that disappeared obviously because of Brexit. So if we can get agreements in place, we can.
But we do have agreements in place. Sorry to interrupt. We do have agreements in place with France. We have a bilateral agreement, and it's obviously failing. The numbers have not decreased. The numbers are increasing, and it's almost like it's actually quite embarrassing because we've given France a veto over who we're allowed to. Who they're allowed to take, but we don't get a veto over who they are allowed to take back. So the one in, one out is almost farcical now. And the problem is, and I've debated people on your side of politics, and they said that you can't call them illegal migrants because they're refugees. And what Nan, I think, is alluding to is that the Refugee Convention, which was in 1954, says that you cannot punish someone in the manner in which they land on your shores.
Well, if they've turned up and they said that they're asylum seekers, obviously once that's been established whether they are or not, then they get given refugee status.
But you claim refugee status in the safest country.
You don't get it straight away as soon as you land. You have to go through the asylum seeker process.
But you're an asylum seeker as soon as you land, as soon as you state the word asylum. And then there is like over 80 to 90% acceptance rate. So we are rewarding.
No.
Yes, we are. That's why the backlog's gone down. What is the acceptance rate for Afghanistanis? I have it right here, 100%. It's over 80, 90%. And so the problem is that as long as we are embedded to the Refugee Convention, somehow this government and previous governments have been more interested in global partnerships and global treaties than protecting the British public. And Reform is the only party that's saying we have to disallow the Refugee Convention and the ECHR because they are not compatible with the safety of women and girls in this country or the safety of this country in general.
I find it... We always talk about women and girls, the safety, and absolutely, I've been talking about it. I've been campaigning around women and safety, the safety for women and girls for over 25 years. What I find shocking is when people talk about why we need to get rid of the migrants, refugees, foreigners, we're going to automatically guarantee the safety.
I didn't say foreigners, I said illegal migrants. It's very different. My mother's a foreigner. I'm not talking about getting rid of her. You can't generalise like that. I am talking about illegal migrants that come undocumented, some of which have gone on to sexually assault young girls, rape them in the most horrific way. We almost have a stream of it. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
No, that's fine. Thank you for clarifying. Where were people that when all this was actually happening 25 plus years ago, 30, 40 years ago, where were people from your side of the political spectrum campaigning and talking about this, highlighting it, talking
about an illegal migrant issue like we have now?
We've always had illegal migrant issues. We've always had issues around people coming.
About 40 years ago. You're actually I'm talking to justify what's happening now and the lack of action from the government.
I'm talking about the safety of women and girls. I'm talking about
things against the women of safety of women and girls. I don't understand the relevance to the conversation now.
Leila, I'm talking about the fact that we've mentioned, obviously we're talking about refugees right now, asylum seekers, illegal migrants, absolutely. But I'm talking about, people that have come forward and said we're really concerned about the grooming gangs, really concerned about the safety of women and girls. And yet people from Reform have actually been convicted of sexual offences against children, of sexual offences against women. You don't need me to tell you.
No, I do. Yeah. Please name one person who's been convicted of sexual assault against a child. And you better back that up because that is a liable claim to make.
From your side, people that voted for Reform, people that support Reform.
We can't filter every vote. You want to talk about the people who voted Labour? No, hang on. You said someone
I agree.
Was convicted of sexually assaulting a child. You've got to back that up. Who
Reform supporters.
Okay, well, hold on.
I have actually spoken about...
Reform supporters is very vague, so let's steer away from that so we don't put ourselves in a position where, you'd have to justify what you're saying in terms of that, because we can avoid that. But let's come back to it, really. Aisha, do you think that the Labour government are actually betraying the taxpayer? Because, as we said, we've looked at the policies that they're supposedly putting in place that are supposed to stop this from happening or mitigate it. And every angle that you look at, it's not really possible unless you leave the ECHR or change or come out of other conventions. So why are the Labour Party... We all know that now. We all know it. The gloves are off. The people in this country can see. We all know. If your government are expecting us to pay as taxpayers, where is the effective policy to stop the small boats?
No, the boats issue has always been something that we've always spoken about. We can't just do this overnight. We've put measures in place.
Well, Donald Trump did it within a very short period of time. Like within 10 days, he'd brought it. He'd taken serious action, and now apparently there's zero migration. Now, I don't believe it's zero, but I believe it's very close to zero because people ain't coming through.
I think he brought it down to zero at some point.
Yeah, he did. But even if you argue, oh, it's not zero, well, it's very, very, very low. It's not what we've got here.
I absolutely have
quickly.
said. I've always said, look, we can't undo years and years of policies under the Tory party.
Why not?
Because we're
So what's the point of electing a new government if you can't undo years and years of Tory policy? Then we just keep voting the same party if a new party and a new government.
So what would
can't
reform
undo
do?
policy.
How would reform
We would
stop?
disallow the ECHR.
Okay.
And we would disallow the
How would you stop people from coming on board?
Because once you stop
how would you create like massive barriers? Because obviously we're an island. How would you stop people from crossing the channel?
Okay, I would remove the incentive. If you land on our shores, you will be detained and deported. Simple as that. You'll be treated as a criminal.
Where would you detain them?
Whether it's offshore, we will build detention centres extremely quickly, detain them. The fact that they're allowed to roam free when we have no idea
they're
who
not
these
allowed.
people are.
They are allowed to walk around. We can't just lock them up like animals. They're not, well, they have arrived illegally, but while we process their applications and deport them.
So you are, there you go, you are rewarding arriving illegally by saying we will process their application.
Once those applications are actually declined, then they're deported.
No, that's not true. 1 in 6 of declined applications are deported, and they are still housed at the taxpayer's expense because we somehow do not want to keep them destitute. So that is a false narrative.
Well,
even failed claims do not get deported. If they are arriving illegally, as you say, why should they not be detained and prosecuted for the crime that they've committed?
And then what would you do once we prosecute? So you're also suggesting we spend more money on prosecuting them, and then once they've been found guilty, what would you do them? Send them back. Okay.
Back, yeah.
So why would you waste money prosecuting them when we can just deport them?
She wouldn't. I don't think she would. She would say that she
would trial. You know, it would be...
But you just said prosecute them.
Well, prosecuting them has many ways. You also have strict liability prosecutions that don't require a whole trial. But they need to know that if they arrive on our shores, there is no hope for them to get anything from this country.
All right, well, a yes or no from both of you. I'll start with you, Aisha Ali Khan. Do you think that the government are betraying the taxpayer, yes or no?
No.
And Layla, same question
100%.
All right, well, what do you think at home? gbnews.com/your say. 33 minutes after 3 o'clock here with me. I'm Nana Akua. Still to come in my niggle, I'll be discussing the shocking murder of Henry Nowak, who was arrested and handcuffed as he lay dying. And the police believe the murderous version of events. Absolutely shocking. I'll be laying out my thoughts on this just after 4. But coming up in the next Great British Debate, I'm asking, do you believe Nicola Sturgeon is the victim? First, your latest news headlines with Sam Francis.
Very good afternoon to you. The top story at 3:34. Liverpool have sacked head coach Arne Slot just a year after he led the club to win the Premier League. But the team have lost 19 times this season. Liverpool says he leaves with the club's deepest gratitude and respect. Donald Trump has outlined his demands for extending the ceasefire with Iran following a meeting with top aides in the Situation Room yesterday. But Iranian officials say its nuclear program is not up for negotiation and no deal has been reached so far. Australia, the UK and the United States are working together to develop unmanned undersea vehicles as part of their AUKUS defence pact. The programme includes plans to develop hypersonic capabilities, artificial intelligence and cyber technologies. Hundreds of migrants are making their way across the English Channel today from France. The first of 3 small boats have already arrived. The latest crossings come after 130 people made the same journey yesterday. A 16-year-old boy has been charged with murder after a 15-year-old was stabbed during a fight outside a house party in East London on Monday. Those are the latest headlines. A full roundup at 4 o'clock.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's the last of the hot spell today, especially in the southeast, with cloud and outbreaks of rain in the northwest before turning fresher with sunshine and showers through Sunday. So high pressure still situated across much of England and Wales. Northwestern areas, that's where we have the influence of low pressure. So a wet end to the day across Scotland. Northern Ireland could see some heavy downpours with thunderstorms as we head through this evening and overnight. They'll continue to push their way north and eastwards, all quite slow moving though, so could merge to give some longer spells of rain. Across the far southeast, that's where we hold on to the dry and clearest skies, but still rather warm. Temperatures here still holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So still quite a warm, mild start to Sunday. Across Orkney and Shetland, that's where we have persistent rain to start the morning. Elsewhere, showery outbreaks of rain still could be on the heavy side, and that's a similar picture across Northern Ireland with a mixture of sunny spells. Across Northern England, showers, and likewise for northern parts of Wales. Across the southeast, though, should be a bright start to Sunday morning. But for all of us, it is going to be feeling fresher out there. We have a change in air mass. There's more in the way of cloud through Sunday. Scattering of showers, mainly out towards the west. Longer spells of rain across Scotland and its northeastern areas of Scotland, where we could see some heavy, possibly thundery showers. But like I mentioned, with that fresher air in place, temperatures closer to the average for the time of year. Across the southeast now, highs of up to 24 degrees. Through Sunday evening, we'll still see spells of rain across Scotland. A few showers in the mix elsewhere, but they'll start easing. And then as we head to start meteorological summer, well, it turns downhill. Low pressure moves in to bring perhaps some welcome rainfall and temperatures returning to average.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. Don't forget as well, you can download the GB News app. It is completely free. Check out all the programmes on the channel at your leisure. But right now, it is time for the Great British Debate, and I'm asking, do you believe Nicola Sturgeon is the victim? Now, the former Scottish First Minister has said that she was deceived, betrayed and lied to by her estranged husband, Peter Murrell, as he embezzled hundreds of thousands of pounds from the SNP. But was she actually telling the truth? What do you think? I mean, do you believe that Nicola Sturgeon is actually the victim? Well, let's speak to my panel. Joining me now, Reform UK's 2028 London mayoral candidate Layla Cunningham, also political commentator Aisha Ali Khan. Aisha, I will start with you.
Well, it's quite an interesting story because when it first broke, it was the motorhome that everybody was talking about, and nobody really understood the extent or the time, the period of time that the offending had taken place. And as we are now, it was over 400 grand, over 12 odd years. And yeah, Nicola has come out repeatedly and said she had no idea. They had separate bank accounts. She was busy being the leader of SNP and busy with her own career. He was busy doing his own thing. And she was as shocked as anybody when he was arrested, and she was obviously arrested as well, but let go almost immediately without any charge. So I do feel bad for her, and I have been in a position where my ex-husband's had separate bank accounts and everything was separate. I had no idea what was going on there. So it is pretty easy for couples who have these arrangements to not know. But as Layla pointed out, we had all these, if you have all these beautiful things, new expensive things appearing in your house,
But
surely there should be some questions.
Well, he's
that
a
were-
high earner. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know the difference between a cheap coffee machine or an expensive one. I don't drink coffee. I'm not interested in it at all. You could put a 2,000 one there and a 20 quid one there.
You wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know. I really wouldn't. Maybe if it had bells and whistles, I might think it's a bit more expensive.
But Nicola Sturgeon acted like she knew everything. Do you remember when she was first leader? She was so self-righteous, nothing gets past her. And listen, Peter Murrell is not some distant acquaintance. He's her husband. He was the chief exec of the party, and she was the leader of the party and the first minister. It might not cross the criminal threshold, but it does. She's not beyond political scrutiny and accountability. She should have known.
No, but I think it's wrong to blame the wife for the crimes of the husband. I think that's really wrong.
But perhaps not as the wife, but as the leader of the party that he was embezzling.
I mean, there was a level of trust there, and I think that's what she's spoken about as well this week, where she feels massively betrayed because she trusted him. Many people trusted Peter. They actually donated to the SNP fund, the referendum fund, the independence fund. So all of those people were let down as well. They trusted him. So I think I wouldn't want to say, I just don't feel that we should blame Nicola as much as Peter, because he was the one who carried out this offending, and also over such a long period of time.
I'm not saying she's criminally liable, but I'm saying there is a question as to what kind of leader was she. Did she not know, or did she choose not to know and not question? And is she also politically accountable as the leader and the first minister to the people that were embezzled?
I suspect she probably feels that she is politically responsible because she was at the top of that party. Because I just imagine...
act like she's politically responsible.
Well, I don't know, but I think she probably does, because she resigned immediately. I mean, her position was untenable.
Right. So they were searching the garden.
Yeah, so it was untenable. But I can see, and I've said this before, I can see a world where she didn't have a clue. I know somebody whose husband turned out that he was pretending to go to work, wasn't going to work, all the money was being stolen from her account and his account. He ended up going to prison for stealing and was
But that wife wasn't running the business that he was stealing from.
No, that's true. But
there's a difference. There's a political. There's the wife scenario.
Yeah.
And then there's the fact that she was the first leader. She was the leader of the party.
But my point here is that I can see a world where she wouldn't have known that. But I'm not saying she's not without responsibility. She should have been checking that sort of thing to make sure that everything was above board. But I guess if you trust someone and they're your closest person and the person that you trust the most, you might not.
And perhaps that's an argument why a husband should not be the chief exec, because there is that innate. You know,
conflict. There's a conflict of interest.
There's a conflict where she trusts him so much because he's her husband that he could get away with it. Perhaps if he was not the husband, she would have applied more scrutiny.
But I do also feel if you've got structures in place where you've got a treasurer, you've got a chairperson, you've got a leader, you've got deputy, you've got all these different positions, and there's no overlap, then of course it's easier to get away with doing stealing and doing wrong things.
Yeah, well, I see that, but...
Well, it obviously was. I mean, he got away with it for quite a while.
Yeah. That's a
I don't know
long
how you
time.
miss emotion
12 years.
Well, because
and 2 cars. Don't forget the 2 Jags as well.
I think the question is that why would you park it at your mother-in-law's or his mother, her mother-in-law? And that, to me, is an immediate act of trying to evade your wife so she can't see and she won't question. Why would she even ask? I mean, if it's... he could say that belongs to my mother-in-law. Why would my mother even... That's her mother-in-law. Why would you even... I don't think I would ask. I
would ask my mother-in-law, there was a nice motorhome. Are you going anywhere?
Yeah, you could do that. If you were suspicious. If you were suspicious, would you do that if you weren't suspicious, though?
Yeah, I would, yeah. But I think just as banter, you know. But you know, just people have to put up with their mothers-in-law, so you find anything to speak about.
Careful.
Love my mother-in-law, but I know some don't. But I think... I think you do have the wife argument, but you also have the leader of the party argument, and I think that's the fundamental point. And should husbands be chief exec if the wife is the leader?
I think there should have been more sort of safety measures in place, to over sort of like make sure things were done properly. But there wasn't any oversight for 12 years.
So let's see. Do you think that Nicola Sturgeon was potentially the victim?
I think so. Yeah.
What about you, Ella?
Perhaps as a wife, not as a leader?
Yeah, all right, that's good. What do you think at home? Yes, gbnews.com/your say. I'm going to get to some of those. But Nicola Sturgeon has said, just as other people have been, I have been deceived, I've been misled, I've been lied to, and I have been betrayed. And I won't be the last woman who has been betrayed by her husband. The circumstances might be unusual and difficult, I will be okay. I'm a strong, resilient person. I've had to be over the last few years, but this is a tough thing to come to terms with. All right, well, that's from Nicola. Stay with us, though. This is GB News, Britain's #1 news channel. Let's check out the holiday sun in Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're heading away this weekend, there will be some showers here and there across eastern areas of Europe, but mostly plenty of sunny and dry weather. You can see a few showers dotted around Greece and Turkey. Italy seeing the odd shower as well, but mostly it's going to be a predominantly dry and sunny picture if you're heading to parts of Europe. Across Madeira and to the Canary Islands as well, there'll be plenty of warm sunshine. Temperatures generally in the high 20s, if not low 30s. Have a good day.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I'm not sure that we used to celebrate VE Day or even the end of the Second World War until recent years, and that's a reflection of the fact that the veterans who fought and took part in that campaign and everyone on the home front are themselves disappearing. Yes, it's partly to do with education. There are huge political pressures on what's in education and in the history package, which of course isn't compulsory. When we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, there was a much higher understanding of what past sacrifice meant. And people, of course, were seen far more often in uniform in the streets, and they were coming back from operational service and about to depart. And that all makes a huge difference. Now, of course, war is very distant. It's in the Gulf. It's in Ukraine. It's not impacting us in the same way that it was doing about 20 years ago.
Matthew, let's bring you in at this stage. Do you think Gen Z is ignorant to Britain's war heroes, or do you think it's just a lack of curiosity?
Yeah, I don't think Gen Z are ignorant. They're just a matter of being the way they've been brought up, how they've been brought up, and when they've been brought up. You know, when this generation have been coming through school, there hasn't been the veterans, because the veterans of the Second World War and the First World War have passed away. So it's not in their face as much. The rhetoric that they're getting taught in schools has been influenced a lot in the past sort of 30, 40 years with more left-wing, and I don't mean, I'm not trying to drag this into a political bias, but there is more left-wing rhetoric getting out in school.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Welcome back to GB News. Now, I really wanted to talk about this, the Katie Price saga that continues. Yes, she's shared details of her first conversation with her husband, Lee Andrews, since he was located in a Dubai jail. It's a story that a lot of people have been following. The former glamour model revealed that the businessman who had been missing for several weeks has been incarcerated in a prison in Dubai. Well, somebody who knows a lot about that, not because he was incarcerated, but his father was, is entrepreneur Wolfgang Douglas. Your father was wrongly incarcerated in a Dubai prison. So, Wolfgang, can you help us shed some light on what on earth is going on in this scenario?
I mean, look, it's quite disappointing to watch
some of the stuff that Lee comes out with, and you know, everyone sort of feels a little bit for Katie.
So Lee Andrews, this is Katie's partner.
This is Lee Andrews.
Yeah.
Is, you know, I think some of the stuff he comes out with is quite disappointing. He took a lot of real facts from our case and sort of inserted it into what would appear to be a bit of a fabricated fantasy.
So what's the fabricated fantasy that he is saying?
The whole hooded story, the story that really we actually spoke on this show about with yourself. One of his own friends, I think, went out to the Sun newspaper recently and said this is sort of a common trait that he's done. He's obviously got himself into trouble. He's got himself there, and you know, Katie is sailing on the winds of the clicks that are coming from the story.
Well, she has to get something out of it, for goodness sake. I don't blame her. I say go for it. So basically, the story is that he has been arrested. That's what we think, that's what the dad says, and that's what we hear. In one of the worst prisons ever. Did your father spend time at all in that prison?
Al-Awir is a prison. All prisons in the Gulf and in the UAE, they lack human rights. There's something that the foreign Commonwealth hasn't given adequate travel advice. A lot of people, when they're going to live in Dubai, do business in Dubai, or invest into these countries, you know, we're not made by any stretch of the imagination aware of the real risks that we run. We're going there very much on the concept of we know laws in the UK and Western countries, and it's going to be all similar there because it's just like Britain. It's nothing like Britain.
All right, so how difficult is it? Because some people get stuck in Dubai.
They get stuck.
There must be... OK, so a lot of people believe that Lee Andrews is a con man. I don't know. I haven't seen the evidence, but I hear a lot of it. So, you know, I haven't made a decision in my head. But for the people who are genuine, there are people who get stuck in Dubai all the time, right?
Yeah. I mean, financial entrapment's a real thing. What people are not told by FCDO when they go to invest or buy properties or get involved in business there is that the moment something goes wrong, you are always left holding the baby. Dubai's, to me, something where it's musical chairs. The Iran conflict is where the music stopped. And the only people that actually have chairs are the Emiratis or the locals in those countries. You, as a foreign expat, you don't have a chair. And in that circumstance, you can very quickly find yourself criminalised or labelled as a criminal while doing nothing really other than investing into something that's very much like Lee Andrews' stories, a little bit fabricated.
So how is the war affecting people who are, say, expats in Dubai?
We're seeing, obviously, massive price corrections across the board. I actually have a programme that is specifically designed and engineered to support British expats who are trying to exit the market without falling foul of foul play that they might have not actually done anything criminal, but is criminalised in that part of the world. And financial entrapment's a real thing. When you see prices drop 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%, as they have, which is more of a crash, and you have local governments that don't allow for reality to be said because everything's censored in that part of the world, you can have your security checks bounced. You can fall foul without actually committing any crime, and those people get stuck.
Oh, well, very, very briefly, you've got about 20 seconds left. What are Lee Andrews' chances of getting out of that Dubai prison?
Well, I think it's very likely. I mean, I would reach out to someone like Lee if he actually needed help. He's going to have to navigate through a draconian system of probably paying a bill, but it's the amount of people that take advantage of him while he's in the system that he faces next.
Wow. OK, Wolfgang, thank you very much. Really good to speak to you. That's Wolfgang Douglas. His father was wrongly incarcerated in a Dubai prison. Next, my niggle on the shocking murder of Henry Nowak. You stay with me. I'll tell you my thoughts, but first, let's get an update with your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's the last of the hot spell today, especially in the southeast, with cloud and outbreaks of rain in the northwest before turning fresher with sunshine and showers through Sunday. So high pressure still situated across much of England and Wales. Northwestern areas, that's where we have the influence of low pressure. So a wet end to the day across Scotland. Northern Ireland could see some heavy downpours with thunderstorms as we head through this evening and overnight. They'll continue to push their way north and eastwards, all quite slow moving though, so could merge to give some longer spells of rain. Across the far southeast, that's where we hold on to the dry and clearest skies, but still rather warm. Temperatures here still holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So still quite a warm, mild start to Sunday. Across Orkney and Shetland, that's where we have persistent rain to start the morning. Elsewhere, showery outbreaks of rain still could be on the heavy side, and that's a similar picture across Northern Ireland with a mixture of sunny spells. Across Northern England, showers, and likewise for northern parts of Wales. Across the southeast, though, should be a bright start to Sunday morning. But for all of us, it is going to be feeling fresher out there. We have a change in air mass. There's more in the way of cloud through Sunday. Scattering of showers mainly out towards the west. Longer spells of rain across Scotland and its northeastern areas of Scotland where we could see some heavy, possibly thundery showers. But like I mentioned, with that fresher air in place, temperatures closer to the average for the time of year. Across the southeast now, highs of up to 24 degrees. Through Sunday evening, we'll still see spells of rain across Scotland. A few showers in the mix elsewhere, but they'll start easing. And then as we head to start meteorological summer, well, it turns downhill. Low pressure moves in to bring perhaps some welcome rainfall and temperatures returning to average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's a totally tax-free £76,543.21 in cash to be won. Cash to spend on anything you like. That's like having over £6,000 extra to spend each month for a whole year. You could spend it on a bucket list holiday, treats for all of the family, or just save it for a rainy day. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversations.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. It is 4 o'clock and for the next few hours, me and my panel will be taking on some of the big topics hitting the headlines right now. This show is all about opinion. It's mine, it's theirs and of course it's yours. We'll be debating, discussing and at times we will disagree, but no one will be cancelled. So joining me for the next few hours, Reform UK's 2028 London mayoral candidate, Layla Cunningham, and also political commentator, Aisha Ali Khan. So coming up in my niggle.
I'm sorry that Henry's life couldn't be saved that night, and I'm sorry that he was handcuffed and arrested in the moments before he lost consciousness. When his killer made that call to police, and he called the police, not the ambulance service, he lied on that call.
Well, I'll be discussing the shocking murder of Henry Nowak, who was arrested and handcuffed as he lay dying, as the police believed his murderer's version of events. I'll be laying out my thoughts in my niggle in just a moment. Then coming up in the Great British debate, I'm asking, should police forces drop DEI in the wake of this shocking murder and mistakes from the police? And what do you think? My poll is live on gbnews.com. I'm asking you that very question. Please cast your vote. And are the government betraying the taxpayer? That's what I've been asking. More migrants are currently on their way to Britain from France, with arrivals over the past 7 days topping 1,500. I'll be bringing you the latest as the government struggles to get a grip of the small boat crisis. Then in difficult conversations, joining me NHS nurse Julia Taylor, who's losing her voice due to a brain condition. She's fighting back, though, and has published a children's book to help continue her legacy of caring for people and families affected by dementia. She'll be joining me live in the studio in just after 5. You won't want to miss that. She's amazing. But before you get started, your latest news with Sam Francis.
Very good afternoon to you. The top story this afternoon at 4. Liverpool have sacked head coach Arne Slot after a disappointing defence of their Premier League title. The team have lost 19 times this season, leading fans to turn on the Dutchman. Sources insist the decision was taken with enormous reluctance, admitting it doesn't feel fair to sack a coach who has won the club's second league title in 30 years. Liverpool FC says Slot leaves the club with the deepest gratitude and respect. Donald Trump has outlined his demands for extending the ceasefire with Iran following a meeting with top aides in the Situation Room yesterday. The US president says Iran must agree to never have a nuclear weapon, that the Strait of Hormuz must be reopened and that any mines in the waterway are destroyed. But Iranian officials say its nuclear program is not up for negotiation, but the discussions are ongoing. That comes as the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has said the US is ready to restart attacks on Iran if a deal can't be reached. Australia, the UK and the United States are working together to develop unmanned undersea vehicles as part of their AUKUS Defence Pact. The programme includes plans to develop hypersonic systems, artificial intelligence and cyber technology. At a summit in Singapore, the Defence Secretary John Healey said that for too long the trilateral pact had delivered too little, but added that it's now changed and reaffirmed Britain's funding of £6 billion over this Parliament.
For too long with AUKUS, we've talked too much and delivered too little. That has now changed, and today we confirm also the first ever signature project under Pillar 2 of AUKUS. This will rapidly give our forces the very most advanced battlefield technologies, as together we produce a range of cutting-edge sensors and weapons systems for undersea drones.
Also this hour, the UK could send more RAF jets to defend NATO's eastern flank. That comes after a Russian drone strike injured 2 people in Romania. The drone hit a block of flats in the east of the country near the Ukrainian border. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has described the incident as a serious violation of the alliance's airspace. 4 RAF Typhoons are already based in Romania, and the Defence Secretary, John Healey, has said more could be deployed. He's also warned Vladimir Putin's war is now spreading beyond Russia and Ukraine. Here, a 16-year-old boy has been charged with murder after a 15-year-old was stabbed during a fight outside a house party in East London on Monday. Police were called to Hackney South after 7 o'clock in the evening, following reports of a large gathering, disorder and people seen with machetes in Towpath Walk. Brian David Saldagaria from Haringey was found with stab wounds in Polar Close, and despite efforts by emergency services, he died at the scene. Hundreds of migrants are currently making their way across the English Channel from France. The first of 3 small boats have already been recorded arriving in Dover today. It's after 130 people arrived in the UK yesterday. Meanwhile, it's been revealed the Home Office is spending more than £1.2 million every year on Channel rescue boats. The fleet has aided the crossing of more than 70,000 migrants since Labour came to power back in 2024. And the government has welcomed a vote by Royal Mail workers to accept a deal on working arrangements and pay. Members of the Communication Workers Union accepted the pay offer worth 4.5%. Business Secretary Peter Kyle says British posties work hard, but we now need to see a big improvement, he says, in Royal Mail performance for its loyal customers. Those are the latest headlines for now. More news in half an hour.
Welcome to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. It is just coming up to 7 minutes after 4 o'clock. Now, a warning to our viewers and listeners that some of the content that I'm about to cover may be distressing. Remember the outrage over George Floyd, a career criminal who served time in prison for a range of offences. He was murdered by police almost exactly 6 years ago after he allegedly tried to use counterfeit money to buy cigarettes. A white officer knelt on his neck until he lost consciousness and he died. His final words were, "I can't breathe." The world went crazy. George Floyd was black. BLM, Black Lives Matter, an organisation set up in the US in the aftermath, became the symbol of this huge injustice black people often face, in particular at the hands of the police in America. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that an unarmed man should be executed by police in this way. This is absolutely wrong. But what I am saying is that what followed was off the scale. The movement went global. Black Lives Matter founder Patrisse Cullors raised tens of millions in donations. We later learned she pocketed a lot of it and spent it on luxury items. Taking the knee became the empty gesture that politicians and footballers alike ritualised to show their support of anti-racism. DEI went into overdrive, and I suspect because it was during COVID, nobody had anything better to do. In a world where at the time, going out in groups was banned, so you didn't spread the virus. This was waived if you donned a BLM T-shirt, and many took to the streets to do just that. I can remember being heckled for daring to suggest using the term Black Lives Matter was racist and divisive, and I argued that it should be, if you want equality, it should be all lives matter. Remember the outrage when someone dared to say white lives matter? Unbelievable. Fast forward to now, and the murder of a wonderful young man, Henry Novak, killed by Vikram Digwa, a Sikh man carrying a knife. He stabbed Henry 5 times and then called the police, claiming that he had been racially abused. Now, when the police arrived, despite a trail of blood leading to Henry, instead of taking him seriously when he told them that he'd been stabbed, they put him in handcuffs. His last words were apparently, "I can't breathe." Well, Henry was white and the officers were white. There was no fanfare when he died. No charity launched in his honour, raising tens of millions for the injustice he faced. Just this.
I'm sorry that Henry's life couldn't be saved that night, and I'm sorry that he was handcuffed and arrested in the moments before he lost consciousness. When his killer made that call to police, and he called the police, not the ambulance service, he lied on that call.
The officers prioritised the accusation of racism over someone who had been stabbed and obviously needed medical attention. So here's the problem. We've seen our police force deteriorate into an organisation riddled with DEI, Rainbow police cars, pronoun lanyards, you name it, those things have taken priority over actual policing. We've had repeated accusations of structural and institutional racism. It is no wonder the police officers don't know where to turn. You see, when colour is the first thing that you see, you prioritise race over everything else. Common sense goes out of the window. For too long now, we've been told by the Liberal left, the hashtag Be Kind Brigade, to make allowances or give special treatment to people with certain characteristics, and that people of colour are victims. Right now, many children are being taught that black people can't be racist and that white people have a privilege. The government is currently in the process of decolonising the curriculum, whatever that means. Well, this is what you get when you teach critical race theory in schools. This is what you get when you continue to call an institution racist rather than dealing with the individual racists. Look, it really is simple. In the words of Martin Luther King, judge people by the content of their character, not by the colour of their skin. Just forget about race. If we did just that, we'd all be a lot better off. Well, you're with me, I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. Coming up this hour in the Great British Debate, I'm asking, should police forces drop DEI? Henry Nowak, a murder victim, was arrested and handcuffed as he lay dying. But what might have been to blame for the police arresting him in the first place? Instead of the actual murderer, was it DEI? So for the Great British Debate, I'm asking, should police forces just drop DEI? My poll is live on gbnews.com. Please cast your vote right now. Then in the next Great British Debate, I'm asking, is it time to resurrect national service? A review has found that more than 1 million young people were not in education, employment or training, the highest level in more than 12 years. But how can this be turned around? So for the Great British Debate, I'm suggesting that perhaps it might be time to resurrect national service. What do you think? And prostate cancer screening is to be restricted, despite it being proven to save lives. Is the state taking men's health seriously? I'll be speaking to the CEO of Prostate Cancer Research. All of that is coming up. As ever, send me your thoughts, post your comments, gbnews.com/your say. Well, I'm joined now by anti-racism campaigner Iman Asen. Iman, welcome to the programme. Iman, what are your thoughts? You heard what I said. I'm saying stop prioritising race, focus on what people are doing and how they're behaving, rather than just saying, oh, there's a black person, there's a white person, they behave like this, they're meant to do that. So because we've been told this and that, we'll do this.
It's very interesting, Anna, because I totally agree with you. There's nothing that you said that I disagree with, which is very interesting for you and I. I just want to add a caveat, which is we forget, and I don't know if it's the issue with the communication team within the police and why they're not kind of sharing this information, but they work off of prejudice. That's their entire job, and I don't quite understand why no one is acting that. The police work off of prejudice. So I do appreciate everything you said in terms of making sure that police focus on behaviour. That is the first port of call. It's the first go-to. It's everything and more. But they also work off of data, and data will be broken down in terms of age, race, gender, and more. That's all data. So they have to have preconceived opinions based off of their data, and that's what leads to these stupid mistakes, terrible, tragic mistakes, whether it be towards black people or towards white. So, Nana, you are right. And I just wanted to add that caveat.
Wow. Wow, well, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting you to argue with me a little bit. Iman, listen, your line... I know, it's a shocker. Yeah. Well, listen, your line is a bit funny, so we're going to try and get you back, maybe on a phone line, and just put images on so that we can hear what Iman is saying. But what do you think at home? gbnews.com/your say, because it seems as though institutions in this country, and it's not just the police, it's schools, it's even in hospitals where they're indoctrinated with fantasies of a man can be a woman, for example. We know they can't, which then, if you go with that logic, a man can then share a similar space in a hospital than a woman. Now, thank goodness that we've had the ruling with the Supreme Court. But did we really need to go through all of that to work out common sense, things that you and I already know? For example, in schools, why are they teaching critical race theory? What on earth is going on there? Why are they being taught that, only white people can be racist, so people of colour can't be racist? I mean, this is something that's actually happening, which I highlighted the other weekend. I genuinely think that if we actually just stop banging on about what colour somebody is, what their special supposed characteristic is, that we need to treat them in a certain way, that if we did that, that we'd be a lot better off. But I'd love to hear what you think. gbnews.com/your say. We'll do our best to bring you Iman Aitan as well. I'm going to just read you some of these statements as well. A spokesperson for the Independent Office of Police Conduct said our investigation, which began following a mandatory referral from the force that we received the same day, remains ongoing, and the officers involved are currently being treated as witnesses. And the Sikh community have also responded, saying that on behalf of the Sikh organisations and communities across the country, we express our deepest condolences for the tragic loss of life, and our thoughts and prayers remain with the Nowak family and loved ones during this profound, difficult time. This incident, as reported, does not align with the Sikh faith, the Sikh community, or the principles it stands for. All right, and the Crime and Policing Minister, Sarah Jones, MP, has had this to say. This is a truly horrific case, and my thoughts are with Henry's family and friends. No verdict can undo the pain they are living with, but I hope today brings some small measure of justice. It is right that an IOPC investigation has been launched into the actions of the police to get to the truth. All right, well, stay with me. This is GB News. Still to come, difficult conversations with NHS nurse Julie Taylor, who has published a children's book to help continue her legacy of caring for people and families affected by dementia. She'll be joining me live in the studio just after 5. She's quite an incredible lady. You won't want to miss her at all. And then in the Great British Debate, coming up next, I'm asking, should police forces drop DEI? This is GB News.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late-night TV shows. We're giving you a front-row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Right, well, you'll be pleased to know we managed to get Iman Aiton back on, and she's just going to... we're talking about what I said in my niggle. Iman, I think our line is good now, so sorry, please carry on with what you were saying.
So I was humble enough to admit, Nana, everything you said originally was quite correct, that the police should be focusing on behaviour. That should be their first port of call.
Yeah.
I'm glad we agree. It's taken us some time, at least 5 years or so since George Floyd. So I appreciate that. And I added the caveat. The caveat is the police focus on prejudice. And I don't know if it's an issue with their communications team, if it's just a failure to really kind of hone in on what's actually happening and why there is a disconnect between their actions and how the general public feel. But either way, they are failing to express cogently that their job is based off of prejudice, Nana. Everything that they do is prejudice. Prejudice is a preconceived opinion. The reason why they work off of prejudice is because of data. Their data will be simplified. It will tell them, was it a white male? Was it a Muslim? Was it, even though that's slightly incorrect, but you get my drift. Was it a Middle Eastern individual? Was it a black person, which of course could be black British, black Caribbean, or black African? The metrics in the way that they use data is wrong, but either way, that's what governs their decision making. And so when we go back to this tragic story of Henry, I think of, first and foremost, racism is racism. Let's just keep it real, whether it is towards Jews, whether it is towards white people, whether it is towards black people. And the issue is, this is me keeping it completely honest with you, 55 years, Nana, of the police there is empirical evidence that they are racially prejudiced towards black people. This started from 1971. That was the trial of the Mangrove Nine. And then we had, I think it was 1981, which was the Scarman Report, Brixton riots. Then we had McPherson Report in 1999. Then we had Louise Casey in 2023. And that was when twice it was noted that the Met Police were institutionally racist towards black people, and they had a culture of bullying, denial and prejudice. So all of that's amalgamated. We go back to what you originally said, which is the police should focus on their number one job. Anti-racism training is only to simply help their decision-making in terms of accuracy. It is not supposed to impede them, it's not supposed to slow them down, it's not supposed to make them make mistakes, and it's not supposed to make them racist. Whoever has become racist as a result of anti-racism training, I would argue, one, with all due respect, and I can't even say it respectfully, you are a moron. Because anti-racism is simply about being aware of all of the different types of discrimination, just being cognizant of it. That's it. And if that's turned you into a monster, you're a moron. I'm so sorry. I'm going to just keep it real with you. And whoever is training you is also possibly a moron. This is where it gets uncomfortable for me, because this is my cohort, technically.
But Imam, what we've got here is we've got a lot of people being taught critical race theory, which tells you that white people are privileged and kind of tells you that black people are victims, pretty much. You know, we've got all these reconditioning, constant conditioning of old stereotypes that we're continuing to perpetuate in the younger people. And wouldn't it be just nice if they stopped doing that, stopped saying, oh, because we can learn about history, there's nothing wrong with learning from our mistakes. But when you imprint that onto an innocent mind who has no real prejudice initially, but then you start to enforce it at a very young age, then what you end up with is the exact thing that you've been doing all along. So we keep perpetuating this pattern instead of actually just educating kids to say, look, there are lots of people of different colours, but we're all the same. We're all the same. Everyone has you have a special characteristic, or you may be this, or you may be that, but you are all equal under the eyes of the law. If you do that, if we stopped highlighting and saying, OK, this person is black, so you need to be a little bit nicer to them because of that, and white people, well, that person's white, so they can't be racist. Oh, you've got a privilege because you're white, which we know it's not true. Not every white person has a privilege. And, oh, you're a black person, so you're going to have a lesser life chance. And if we stopped imprinting that on people, then we would get a different outcome. But We're doing this constantly, even decolonising the curriculum. I mean, come on, just teach it, but teach it fairly and correctly.
So, Nana, I heard everything you said, so I'll just pose a very genuine, honest question to you. Do you think it was already taught fairly before all of this DEI nonsense? Do you think it was actually accurate? And yes, I appreciate all of the nuance that you could potentially talk about.
No, I don't think it was. No,
thank you.
I don't think it was.
Right,
I
this is
don't
where it
think
gets
it was.
complicated. Thank you for being honest. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I agree. And so what happened is we all tried to rectify it. Okay? And then what happens is people just got very egotistical. They got ahead of themselves, overzealous, overconfident. And then we start finding ourselves now imbalanced.
Yeah.
And the minute you go from one extreme to the next, if you hear the word extreme, we have a problem, people. It is the center. That is where logic and emotion lies. So I totally agree with you. And I will just say, again, caveats. I'm not disputing what you're saying, and I'm simply adding. When I think about, and I'm so glad you were so honest, thank you. When I think about privilege, the reason why people talk about privilege is not to do with your financial circumstances. It's about the fact that you can walk around life and not have to think about how your race will impact you and impact others and how they perceive you. That's what we talk about when in regards to white. And let's just keep it so real. It's because of a hierarchy, whether we want to be honest about it or not. It's a subconscious hierarchy based off of history, why we have white at the top. This is why there are, let me not get too contentious. I will stop it at that, and I will simply say,
I would if I were you.
Thank you. I was feeling you, Nana, so that's a compliment to you. But yes, I do hope that you get my drift, and let's just see if I can sum it up really quickly. The reality is equality, the Equalities Act is needed. It protects all of us. It's been simplified into 9 protected characteristics. There's been an imbalance, and this is why we've gone awry. If we get rid of the Equalities Act, that means that we'd have to repeal the 116 pieces of British anti-discrimination laws within it. So that means we need to keep the Equalities Act. We need to keep the Human Rights Act. We need to keep the Race Relations Act. This is British. This is all British. But all we need to do is have guidelines and get a balance.
We need a decent balance and a huge dose of common sense. Iman Ayton, thank you very much. As anti-racism campaigner, Iman Ayton. Wow. All right, well, it's time now for the Great British Debate. Joining me in my panel, I'm asking, should police forces drop DEI? Murder victim Henry Novak was arrested and handcuffed as he lay dying in a case that has shocked the country and the world, in fact, but who might have been to blame for this? It's absolutely a shocker. Is it actually part of the whole DEI indoctrination that we've been seeing? So in the Great British Debate, I'm asking, should police forces drop DEI? Joining me now, Reform UK's 2028 London mayoral candidate Layla Cunningham and political commentator Aisha Ali Khan. Layla Cunningham, I'll start with you.
Number one, a stab victim should never lose the presumption of innocence because their accuser shouted racism. This is someone, when the police arrive on the scene and they see that someone's been stabbed and their supposed person who attacked them is fine, that should already set the scene.
Yeah.
But there is this institutional fear around being called racism that has developed over the years with all the anti-racist policies that have come in, and I understand where they came from. But right now, people are more scared of being called racist than they are scared of not saving someone. We saw it with the grooming gangs, we saw it with Novak, we saw it with Sarah Sharif. Remember, she was veiled. She was the only one who had her head covered, and the adults in the family did not, and that is very unusual. And they recognised that it was unusual, the social services, but they didn't want to ask for fear of being called racist, and that led to her demise. And we have to go back to colourblind justice. And you're right, Nana. What I find the left have done, and they do it in London, is that they split different groups up. You know, you're the Muslim community. This country is Islamophobic. It's oppressed you. They create this victim narrative around them. They go to the black community. It's intrinsically racist. And number one, I don't think that creates unity, and it pits different groups against each other. But justice has to be colourblind, or else people die. That's it. And this constant. You know, I was at a talk. Literally, I went into the Lion's Den in Hackney, and I just mentioned Pakistani grooming gangs. I was said it's a dog whistle. The host said, "What have you got against these powerless Pakistani men?" I was said I was racist for saying those Pakistani. And then I said, listen, I'm not racist against Pakistani people. Some of my closest friends are. They all laughed. Oh, the usual trope that racists say.
God.
I had to defend that. And then the host actually told me, now that you've mentioned Pakistani grooming gangs, can you also mention white offenders of the same thing to balance it out, as if the truth needs an apology or needs justification? And I said, listen, I'm not scared to call out people. I mean, I'm from the Middle East. I recognise that people from the Middle East, Muslim, commit terrorist attacks. You know, unless communities are too scared to call out what's going on in their community, they betray their community, number one, but they also betray the country. And we are at a point now where, because of institutional fear of being called racist, there are also institutional blind spots, and those blind spots are leading to innocent people dying.
All right, Asha Ali Khan.
I literally agree with so much of what Leila has just said. I think this, first of all, this case with Henry Novak was such a horrible, horrible case, heartbreaking, and obviously the Sikh community have come out and denounced Vikram Digwa and said this, you know, apologised as well. And I think it's important. I mean, look, DEI over the last 20-odd years has changed. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as DEI.
Me neither.
And people like myself, you know, being able to now sat on this panel, three women of colour here, that's the progress that we've made. So I think it's really important that we don't throw everything out, because obviously without DEI, I genuinely believe I wouldn't be here today.
When you said that, I hadn't even thought about that. Like, so when you said women of colour, I hadn't even thought about that at all, see, and that's kind of where we need to be.
Absolutely. And
I never thought about it. You said it.
I didn't even see it.
I didn't see it. I didn't think about it. Then you said it. I thought, oh, and I thought. And I thought to myself,
again,
we've got to stop noticing.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to be in that position.
Well, we will be if people
it.
stop trying to reinforce it all the time.
I think going back to this case, it was a horrific case, and the police should have attended to Henry, and he did say, I can't breathe, and there was blood. I don't understand. There was blood there. Why did the police officers not see that he'd been stabbed?
By the time, blood there, but I do feel that the body will needs to be released. It's the only way to actually tell.
But the body cam, there's footage, CCTV footage of him running away from the attacker and leaving a trail of blood. And you could see, and that was. Again, they showed that clip and it was just horrific. I couldn't watch this. But again, the police officers that attended, they've got questions to answer. Of course, they should have seen that he was injured. They could see he was passing out. They could see he needed urgent medical attention, which maybe, if we don't know, but the fact is he passed away, and he should have. Yeah. And again, sorry, going back to this case, this was a pre-planned offence by Vikram and his brother, because well, if you look at the case, he'd got into this fight with Henry Novak. He chased him, he stabbed him, he called his brother turned up, then his mum turned up as well. So they were also convicted as well for perverting the course of justice. The mother took the knife, the weapon that caused the injuries, and took it home to hide it, and came back because they lived close by. So when I looked into this case, I thought he is guilty. There's absolutely no doubt about the guilt of the Sikh. And obviously he's now been found guilty as well.
But the question is, how do you stop this happening again, right? Because we've seen it time and time again where innocent people have died at the altar of...
But do you feel, Leila, sorry, do you feel that that's what happened, that the police officers came because this...
Well, he called, I think the 999 call.
Yeah. That was in the call.
And I do feel, and I speak to officers in the Mets, there is a fear, and they are more reticent to use the full force of the law against a minority than they are against a white person, because of two things. Number one, they will be called racist. Yeah. And number two, leadership will throw them under the bus for that. So they won't get the backing of leadership.
So, Leila, do you think that perhaps they need to drop all these DEI initiatives within the police force?
Well, 100%. Number one, in terms of hiring should be on merit. I don't care, you know, I want the best officer on the street, especially if I'm paying for it. But you have to have colourblind justice.
Yeah,
and listen...
Same question to you, because we're running out of time.
Sorry.
Aisha Ali Khan, do you think we should drop, the police need to just forget DEI?
No. First of all, the hiring, DEI and the hiring process is separate, and obviously, when, like Leila said, it should be justice should be colourblind when you're dealing with offences. When you
so you think you'd leave the DEI in for the hiring, but you'd have colourblind justice for the... I don't think you can have it both ways, because as soon as you highlight colour, you've highlighted it. And
I think, I mean, right now we've got, we had a recent very successful campaign to encourage more Muslim women into the police force, and again, it was successful. Lots of people came forward. We've also had the hijab that was designed to encourage.
I just think you could have an advert that features lots of people from all different walks of life inviting them to be part of it. I don't think you need to be doing all that. I think you end up compromising quality as soon as you start going, oh, well, I need a black person, I need an Asian person, I need this. No. Can they do the job? Right, just a reminder, friends of GB News, you can vote in today's You Decide poll for free by scanning the QR code now. And I'm asking, should police forces drop DEI? Yes or no? Let us know what you think, and we'll bring you the results later on in the programme. But first, loads of still things on the way. Difficult conversations with NHS nurse Julie Taylor. She's quite an incredible lady. She's currently losing her voice, but trying to continue her legacy, and has written a really very passionate book about dementia. And then in the next Great British Debate on the way, I'm asking, is it time to resurrect national service? But first, your latest news headlines with Sam Francis.
Hello, very good afternoon to you. 4:35, the top story. Liverpool have sacked head coach Arne Slot a year after he led the club to win the Premier League. But the team have lost 19 times this season. Liverpool says he leaves with the club's deepest gratitude and respect. Donald Trump has outlined his demands for extending the ceasefire with Iran following a meeting with top aides in the Situation Room yesterday. But Iranian officials say its nuclear program is not up for negotiation and no deal has been reached so far. Australia, the UK and the United States are all working together to develop unmanned undersea vehicles as part of their AUKUS defence pact. The programme includes plans to develop hypersonic capabilities, artificial intelligence and cyber technologies. Hundreds of migrants are making their way across the English Channel today from France. The first of 3 small boats have already arrived. The latest crossings come after 130 people made the journey yesterday. A 16-year-old boy has been charged with murder after a 15-year-old was stabbed during a fight outside a house party in East London. Those are the latest headlines. A full roundup with the news at 5.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's the last of the hot spell today, especially in the southeast, with cloud and outbreaks of rain in the northwest before turning fresher with sunshine and showers through Sunday. So high pressure still situated across much of England and Wales. Northwestern areas, that's where we have the influence of low pressure. So a wet end to the day across Scotland. Northern Ireland could see some heavy downpours with thunderstorms as we head through this evening and overnight. They'll continue to push their way north and eastwards, all quite slow moving though, so could merge to give some longer spells of rain. Across the far southeast, that's where we hold on to the dry and clearest skies, but still rather warm. Temperatures here still holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So still quite a warm, mild start to Sunday. Across Orkney and Shetland, that's where we have persistent rain to start the morning. Elsewhere, showery outbreaks of rain still could be on the heavy side, and that's a similar picture across Northern Ireland with a mixture of sunny spells. Across Northern England, showers, and likewise for northern parts of Wales. Across the southeast, though, should be a bright start to Sunday morning. But for all of us, it is going to be feeling fresher out there. We have a change in air mass. There's more in the way of cloud through Sunday. Scattering of showers, mainly out towards the west. Longer spells of rain across Scotland and its northeastern areas of Scotland, where we could see some heavy, possibly thundery showers. But like I mentioned, with that fresher air in place, temperatures closer to the average for the time of year across the southeast now, highs of up to 24 degrees. Through Sunday evening, we'll still see spells of rain across Scotland, a few showers in the mix elsewhere, but they'll start easing. And then as we head to start meteorological summer, while it turns downhill, low pressure moves in to bring perhaps some welcome rainfall and temperatures returning to average.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Just don't care.
Welcome back to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio, 40 minutes after 4 o'clock. I'm Nana Akua, and it's time for the Great British Debate. I'm asking, is it time to resurrect national service? A review by former Labour Minister Alan Milburn this week warned that we're at risk of a lost generation, with 1 in 6 young people set to be out of work, education or training, NEETs is what they call them, in 5 years unless action is taken. And it's led to calls for the government to bring back national service, which saw 2 million men conscripted in the armed forces after the Second World War. So what do you think? Is it actually time to resurrect national service? Joining me now, Reform UK's 2028 London mayoral candidate Leila Cunningham, and also political commentator Aisha Ali Khan. Aisha Ali Khan, is it time?
I think that there has to be something, but whenever people talk about national service, the national service, there are so many negative connotations that come up. Obviously, it was something that was implemented.
Tell me something bad about it.
Well, it was implemented just after the Second World War. We had all these men who'd gone off to fight. They'd come home. There weren't many jobs. The economy was dying.
Leila, your thoughts?
I don't know if I would want my children to go and fight for this country, to be honest, when I have a Prime Minister who's going after veterans in the past. I'm not sure I'd want my children to fight for them, but I'm not opposed to some kind of national service where they go work with the elderly, or a community service perhaps to teach them. But the fundamental point is that we have a government that's made it more expensive to hire young people, increase the minimum wage without growth. And what you're seeing is when that happens is that they stop hiring, they cut hours, or they increase prices. And we have a government that doesn't understand that you can't just will growth through higher prices. And it's the entry-level jobs that really these young people take. And when there's just too much regulation. And sadly, it's perhaps more financially rewarding to be on welfare than it is to work.
I see you nodding your head, Aisha Ali Khan, but it's your government. They're your people.
Sorry, I was just going to finish off the point from before, that when the national service was first introduced, it was only for white people. It wasn't for blacks. It wasn't for Asians, and it was.
What's that got to do with anything?
And I mean, this is the connotations that people, when you talk about national service, they see it in a negative way. As a history teacher, we teach about we talk about this in schools. But I do feel.
What's the relevance of saying when we had national service before, it was only for white people? Let's be honest. In the 40s, there were very few black people here. I mean, like very few people of any colour here.
It went from 1949 all the way to 1963, so there were, by then, quite a few Asian people
but it wasn't really. I mean, when I was in Newcastle many years ago, we were the only black people there.
So my parents came in the 60s. I don't think there were many people from
exactly.
And I'm wondering if the percentage of people that were in the army, and then did it match the percentage of the population that were ethnic minorities?
No, there wasn't that many, but obviously when we talk about mill towns...
There was also not that many ethnic minorities, so did it match the percentage?
Yeah, you can't get
representation of the population
Oh no!
At the time?
Sorry, no.
Or was it completely disproportionate to the amount?
It was disproportionate because there were quite a few people that were in mill towns like Bradford, mill towns and cities.
Okay. Can we stop this thing?
Sorry,
we're getting bogged down into. Hang on. Let me finish. We're getting bogged down into when we did it before. We didn't have any black people. No, I don't care. I don't care. I'm talking about now. What do you think?
I agree. We should have something that is similar. We're talking about volunteering services, not just in the military, in schools, helping to build the infrastructure. I think if we can actually get people doing their civic duty and actually helping them to get back on their feet, giving them something to put on their CVs as well. This is something that a lot of young people need. Group, as we've been talking about, have said that when they apply for jobs, they don't have the experience, but they can't get the experience because they don't get the jobs. So I think it's something that we do need to have in place.
You see, I would say that their civic duty is to work and support themselves. And for years, politicians told young people, get educated, work hard, you'll own a home, you'll get on in life. And what politicians did is didn't build enough homes, created asset bubbles so housing was unaffordable, flooded the market with foreign cheap labour so wages remained stagnant, whereas at the same time prices went up, taxes went up, and they effectively priced young people out of the labour market by flooding it with foreign cheap labour, kept wages so low. And to counteract that, basically, they increased welfare, they increased access to welfare, and it became more financially rewarding to be on welfare. And those that did work, as we mentioned earlier, are working so hard, and that social contract of you work hard, you get ahead, no longer really is applicable, sadly.
Yeah.
But and again, I agree with so much of what Leila just said. I think if we're going to give young people incentives, we have to invest in them. We have to invest in them from a younger age, and that means more classroom teachers, more teaching assistants, more recognition of issues like ADHD, dyslexia, and so on.
But it sounds like we are. The government are going to pay employers to take on young people to give them apprenticeships. It sounds so ridiculous.
It's mad.
It's so stupid because all they've done is instead of allowing the employers to pay for the young people, keeping the wage nice and decent, they're now going to take it out of our taxes. And what really gets me is the fact that they had a real go at Nigel Farage when he said the minimum wage is too high. Right, let's go to David Balm. He's in Watford. David, he's our great British voice. This show's nothing without you. What's your thoughts on this, David Balm? National service?
Well, first of all, you couldn't call it national service because national service means going into the army, and you can just see all the solicitors, the legal bods, rubbing their hands with glee, thinking of all the money they'll earn through the human rights. I think if we have a community service that works on the same lines, that when you finish in education, whether it's 16 or 18, you spend 2 years looking into the community, working in the community, taking care of the upkeep, learning a trade, whether it's to do with becoming a brickie or a sparks, all the things that the kids should be learning that the governments have actually priced them out of it. So bring them in that way, 2 years at 20, then they're free.
Yeah, David Balm, we have to leave it there. Always a pleasure. Right, let's quickly move on and let's check out the forecast in Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're heading away this weekend, there will be some showers here and there across eastern areas of Europe, but mostly plenty of sunny and dry weather. You can see a few showers dotted around Greece and Turkey. Italy seeing the odd shower as well, but mostly it's going to be a predominantly dry and sunny picture if you're heading to parts of Europe. Across Madeira and to the Canary Islands as well, there'll be plenty of warm sunshine. Temperatures generally in the high 20s, if not low 30s. Have a good day.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Just talk us through, if you would, because it is fascinating, just the level, the intensity of the bombardment that London in particular was facing during that period of time. How long did it last for, and, you know, how intense was it?
Thank you, Mark. Hi again, Anne. Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you.
The whole point about the book, Mark, is that you mentioned London there, and of course, that's the reality of what most people think. They think London, a few months between around Christmas 1940, that was the Blitz. But that's not the story that I'm telling. I'm telling the story that, you know, GB News would tell, which is the story of the whole nation. So not London, we're talking about Coventry, people will remember that. We're talking about Glasgow, we're talking about Aberdeen, we're talking about Exeter. And I'm telling the story of the war. So yes, thousands were killed in London during those few months, dreadful months in around Christmas 1940. But 60,000 civilians perished during the whole course of the war. And again, we talk about when the Blitz started, when the Blitz ended. If you were being bombed in Glasgow or you are being bombed in Newcastle, so that image you've got on screen now is my mum's hometown. That is the picture of an air raid shelter in my mum's hometown. And if she'd been in that shelter, I wouldn't be with you today. But I found a survivor.
Where is it?
So that is in North Shields, on the banks of the Tyne, as you come down outside Newcastle. So that image that you've got there, that kind of sparked the story that I tell of the nation in the book.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon. Now, Britain is to ration prostate cancer screenings despite lagging behind much of Europe on survival rates. I have no idea why. The former Prime Minister, Lord Cameron, said that his life was saved by the screening. Prostate cancer is literally one of the most common cancers to affect men in the UK. Well, joining me now is CEO of Prostate Cancer Research, Oliver Kemp. Oliver, thank you for joining us. What on earth are they thinking? It makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, well, we have pretty much the same reaction. We're deeply disappointed with this decision, and we obviously are complaining about the decision, and we want them to overturn it when it comes to before the government.
Now, how accurate is the screening?
So a PSA test has its faults. However, the screening has changed dramatically over the last 10, 15 years. So these days you start off with a PSA test, which is a simple blood test. Then you have an MRI, and then you have a guided biopsy through the perineum. Actually, that's very accurate these days, and we leave people with far fewer side effects than it used to.
So why would they then want to stop that? Because if someone does get prostate cancer, that will be treated by the NHS. Surely all that treatment is way more expensive than catching it early and then dealing with it then.
Well, exactly. I mean, we modelled that ourselves. It's £150,000 per person per year for late-stage treatment, and about £10,000 to treat somebody early. So, yes, sure, catching it early, especially for high-risk groups, saves the NHS money.
So what would you suggest to the government, and are you reaching out to them at all to try and get them to have a rethink?
We are definitely reaching out. There's a new health secretary. It's up to them to make the final decision based on the recommendation from the screening committee. And we are certainly saying to them that make sure you look at the latest evidence and please engage with all the evidence, because right now they're only thinking about the evidence that was produced 10, 15 years ago, and it is outdated.
Yeah. All right. So, and just for any men that are listening right now, what are the symptoms? What are the sort of signs of it? And what should they do if they're concerned?
Well, certainly. I mean, if you're peeing through the night, if you can't fully empty your bladder, if you're finding that you've got any kind of pains in your bones, then please go and see a doctor. If you have those symptoms, you are entitled to a PSA test if you're over the age of 50. So please go and see your doctor. Don't leave it too late.
Yeah, don't leave it too late. That's the big message there. Well, Oliver, thank you very much for joining us. That is Oliver Kemp. He is the CEO of Prostate Cancer Research. Thank you so much. Wow. Well, do you know what? I don't know why the government would be doing that. It makes no sense to me at all. Does it make sense to you? gbnews.com/you'll say. We will have a look at some of those messages very, very shortly. There's plenty more still to come in the next hour, including difficult conversations. That's my interview with nurse and author Julie Taylor. Now, she's here to discuss her fantastic book, Nana McKee's Magical Memories. It's an incredible book for children about how to look after grandparents if they're suffering with dementia. All right, well, stay with me. First, though, let's get an update with your weather.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's the last of the hot spell today, especially in the southeast, with cloud and outbreaks of rain in the northwest before turning fresher with sunshine and showers through Sunday. So high pressure still situated across much of England and Wales. Northwestern areas, that's where we have the influence of low pressure. So a wet end to the day across Scotland. Northern Ireland could see some heavy downpours with thunderstorms as we head through this evening and overnight. They'll continue to push their way north and eastwards, all quite slow moving though, so could merge to give some longer spells of rain. Across the far southeast, that's where we hold on to the dry and clearest skies, but still rather warm. Temperatures here still holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So still quite a warm, mild start to Sunday. Across Orkney and Shetland, that's where we have persistent rain to start the morning. Elsewhere, showery outbreaks of rain still could be on the heavy side, and that's a similar picture across Northern Ireland with a mixture of sunny spells. Across Northern England, showers, and likewise for northern parts of Wales. Across the southeast, though, should be a bright start to Sunday morning. But for all of us, it is going to be feeling fresher out there. We have a change in air mass. There's more in the way of cloud through Sunday. Scattering of showers, mainly out towards the west. Longer spells of rain across Scotland and its northeastern areas of Scotland, where we could see some heavy, possibly thundery showers. But like I mentioned, with that fresher air in place, temperatures closer to the average for the time of year. Across the southeast now, highs of up to 24 degrees. Through Sunday evening, we'll still see spells of rain across Scotland. A few showers in the mix elsewhere, but they'll start easing. And then as we head to start meteorological summer, while it turns downhill, low pressure moves in to bring perhaps some welcome rainfall and temperatures returning to average.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversations.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. For the next hour, me and my panel will be taking on some of the big topics hitting the headlines right now. This show is all about opinion. It's mine, it's theirs, and of course it's yours. We'll be debating, discussing, and at times we will disagree, but no one will be cancelled. So joining me for the next hour, Reform UK's 2028 London mayoral candidate Layla Cunningham, and also political commentator Aisha Ali Khan. So coming up, we'll see a deal agreed. Will we see a deal agreed in the Iran war, as US President Donald Trump is to make a final determination about a framework for extending the ceasefire? We'll bring you the latest from the US. And I'm also asking, are the government betraying the taxpayer over the small boat crisis? More migrants are currently on their way to Britain from France. Arrivals over the past 7 days have topped 1,500. I'll bring you the latest on the government's struggles to get to grips with the small boat crisis. On the way, difficult conversations. Joining me, NHS nurse Julia Taylor, who's losing her voice due to a brain condition. She's fighting back, though, and has published a children's book to help continue her legacy of caring for people and families affected by dementia. She'll be joining me in the studio. You won't want to miss her. And in case you didn't manage to catch my niggle, where I discussed the shocking murder of Henry Nowak, who was arrested and handcuffed as he lay dying, as the police believed his murderer's version of events, well, you can check it out on gbnews.com, YouTube and on our social media channels. But before we get started, your latest news with Sam Francis.
Nana, thank you. Very good evening to you. Just after 5 o'clock, the top story. Liverpool have sacked their head coach, Arne Slot, after a disappointing defence of their Premier League title. The team have lost 19 times this season, leading fans to turn on the Dutchman. Sources insist the decision was taken with enormous reluctance, though, admitting it doesn't feel fair to sack a coach who has won the club's second league title in 30 years. Liverpool FC says Slot leaves with the club's deepest gratitude and respect. Also tonight, Donald Trump has outlined his demands for extending the ceasefire with Iran following a meeting with top aides in the Situation Room yesterday. The US president says Iran must agree to never have a nuclear weapon, that the Strait of Hormuz must be reopened, and that any mines in the waterway are destroyed. Iranian officials, though, say that its nuclear program is not up for negotiation, but the discussions are ongoing. Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth says the United States is ready to restart attacks on Iran if a deal can't be reached. Australia, the UK and the United States are working together to develop unmanned undersea vehicles as part of their AUKUS Defence Pact. The programme includes plans to develop hypersonic systems, artificial intelligence and cyber technology. At a summit in Singapore, the Defence Secretary John Healey said that for too long the trilateral pact had delivered too little, but added that's now changed and reaffirmed Britain's funding of £6 billion over this Parliament.
For too long with AUKUS, we've talked too much and delivered too little. That has now changed, and today We confirm also the first ever signature project under Pillar 2 of AUKUS. This will rapidly give our forces the very most advanced battlefield technologies, as together we produce a range of cutting-edge sensors and weapons systems for undersea drones.
The UK could send more RAF jets to defend NATO's eastern flank after a Russian drone strike injured 2 people in Romania. The drone hit a block of flats in the east of the country near the Ukrainian border. Sir Keir Starmer's described the incident as a serious violation of NATO airspace. 4 RAF Typhoons are already based in Romania, and the Defence Secretary John Healey has said more could be deployed, warning that Vladimir Putin's war is spreading beyond Russia and Ukraine. A 16-year-old boy has been charged with murder after a 15-year-old was stabbed during a fight outside a house party in East London on Monday. Police were called to Hackney South after 7 o'clock following reports of a large gathering, disorder and people with machetes in Towpath Walk. Brian David Saldaguria from Haringey was found with stab wounds in Polar Close. Despite efforts by emergency services, he died at the scene. Hundreds of migrants are currently making their way across the English Channel from France, with the first of 3 small boats already arriving in Dover today. It's after 130 people also arrived yesterday. Meanwhile, it's been revealed that the Home Office is spending more than £1.2 million every year on Channel rescue boats. That fleet has already aided the crossing of more than 70,000 migrants since Labour came to power back in 2024. The government has welcomed a vote by Royal Mail workers to accept a deal on working arrangements and their pay. Members of the Communication Workers Union accepted the offer, worth 4.5%, and Business Secretary Peter Kyle has said British posties do work hard, but we now need to see a big improvement, he says, in Royal Mail performance for its loyal customers. Those are the latest headlines for now. Do stay with us for plenty more with Nana.
Hello and welcome to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. It's fast approaching 6 minutes after 5 o'clock. I'm Nana Akua. Now, coming up in this hour, will we see a deal agreed in the Iran war, as US President Donald Trump is to make a final determination about a framework for extending the ceasefire? So I'm asking, what do you think? We'll bring you the latest from the United States. In difficult conversations, I'll be speaking with the NHS nurse Julia Taylor, who is losing her voice due to a brain condition. She is fighting back, though, and has published a children's book to help continue her legacy of caring for people who are affected by dementia. She'll bring me the latest. And just after 5, you won't want to miss that. Then, in the Great British debate this hour, I'm asking, should Sikhs be allowed to carry knives? Sikh leaders are to review guidance on the rights to wear ceremonial knives after one was used in a murder student Henry Novak. But should they be banned? So in the Great British debate this hour, I'm asking, should Sikhs be allowed to carry knives? All of that is on the way. As ever, send me your thoughts, post your comments. You can scan that QR code, gbnews.com/your say. So Donald Trump has outlined his demands for extending the ceasefire with Iran following a meeting with top aides in the Situation Room yesterday. The US president says that Iran must agree to never have a nuclear weapon, but the Strait of Hormuz must be reopened and that any mines in the waterways are destroyed. Now, Iranian officials say that its nuclear program is not up for negotiation, but that discussions are ongoing. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says that the US is ready to restart attacks on Iran if a deal can't be reached. Well, I'll now speak to GB News presenter Ben Leo, live in Washington, D.C. Ben Leo, tell us more about all of this. What's going on?
Hello, Nana. Good to see you. Yes, so big dramatic day in D.C. yesterday. President Trump in the White House going to the Situation Room to, it was reported, consider this deal that was on the table. He came out the meeting with no deal agreed, which begs the question, what are the sticking points? Well, I wouldn't hold your breath for a deal anytime soon if you're asking me, because Iran amongst other issues. They want around $20 billion worth of assets unfrozen. They're currently in Qatar, and they want hold of that money and those assets to pretty much do what they want with. It's part of US sanctions on Iran. Also, there's a rumor that the United States is offering $300 billion worth of reconstruction for Iran after any deal was agreed. So this would be to rebuild the country, invest in infrastructure. Some people are calling it war reparations, if you will. So that's part of the conversation as well. But this sort of meeting yesterday was to basically agree to an extended ceasefire for 60 days. The main red line for the United States, of course, is this enriched uranium, the possibility of developing a nuclear weapon. That wouldn't be discussed in this stage now. It would be discussed in the 60 days following any agreement from this point on. So for now, no talks whatsoever of nuclear enrichment or uranium at all. If they call it nuclear dust, don't they? It's the uranium that is buried deep underground after those B-2 bombers obliterated parts of Iran last year, courtesy of the United States. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, he was in a meeting in Singapore yesterday evening, and he was talking about the fact that President Trump, is very happy to continue without a deal, turn the screw and continue hostilities if that's what it takes. This is the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, talking last night.
We're in a cabinet meeting just a couple of days ago, and the president said, hey, it will be a great deal. And if Iran doesn't want to make a great deal that ensures they don't get a nuclear weapon, they can deal with the guy on my left. That was the only time I've ever been accused of being on the left. And he was pointing at the War Department, and we're serious about that. Our ability to recommence if necessary is, we are more than capable. Our stockpiles are more than suited for that, both there and around the globe, because of how we balance exquisite and more plentiful munitions. So we're in a very good place.
Elsewhere, Nana, in DC, just worth noting, President Trump had his medical results back from the Walter Reed Military Medical Center last week. He seems to be getting checkups every 6 months or so. The report is back. It's been published by the White House. They say, of course, he's a 79-year-old. He weighs 238 pounds. Work that out in stone, 14 pounds to a stone. And the summary from his doctor was President Trump remains in excellent health, demonstrating strong cardiac, pulmonary, neurological and overall physical fitness. His demanding daily schedule, including multiple high-level meetings, public engagements and regular physical activity, continues to support his overall well-being. Cognitive and physical performance are excellent, and he's fully fit to carry out his duties as president. Not bad, Nana, I'd say, for somebody who infamously likes gorging on McDonald's, burgers, fries, and all those Diet Cokes as well.
It helps if you're a billionaire as well, doesn't it, that you can keep yourself well. Ben Leo, thank you very much. Your show is tonight, midnight. We'll look forward to that. Thank you very much. That's the Late Show Live with Ben Leo. Midnight tonight. He's in Washington, D.C. Well, let's speak with a geopolitical expert and author, Bill Ganasti, now about all of that. Bill, thank you for joining us. Now, I see all this and I'm wondering, what does Donald Trump really want? I know that your partner, Daphne Barak, she's got quite close links with the president. I think she knows him personally, so I presume you do as well. What does he really want? Because it doesn't feel... I feel like, what's underneath all of this?
Well, there's elections, nothing else. Next 6 months, there are elections in the U.S. And he's a smart president. He prepared himself. He did what he needed to do in May, April, and to build up for the elections. Elections require ammunition. He has to talk about Iran. He did something about Iran. He has to talk about, he did something about Israel. And he has to talk about China. He did something about China. So he did all of that in the past 2 months with all the mess in Iran. It wasn't U.S. mess, it was somebody else's mess. But as a world leader, he went there, he did what he needed to do. And now he says, I have to go to elections, let's negotiate, and let's keep, let's come back to the issue in 6 months. If you irritate me, I will briefly take a time off from the elections and come and show the force that the U.S. has and go back to negotiations, because I'm not going to be redirected from the elections. I have a country to run. The U.S., President Trump is America First president. He has to take care of America first. So he did what he needed to do 6 months before. Now He's negotiating. If necessary, he can always show his force. Otherwise, he'll focus on elections. That's what he's doing.
He doesn't really want to get involved in Iran, though. There must be some other reason. Some people might think it's oil, or some other reason why he's really involved in this war.
Well, let's look back at it. What did he do earlier in this year? He went to Venezuela. What was there? Oil. Oil for what? Oil for China. Cheap oil for China. So he took care of that. He took the president out. And oil now is fair and square to anybody who needs it to buy it. China doesn't buy it for a cheap price. Now, he came to Iran, the same thing. Who was buying the most oil from Iran? China. So he took care of the business. How he took care of it, whether Israel is messed it up, forced Israel to bomb it, this, that, extend it, those are other details that are not important. The important thing is, he stopped the flow of cheap oil to China considerably. Now, China is squeezed. That's his priority. The U.S. is the world's biggest economy, and the next biggest economy is China. This is a war between two biggest economies, and U.S. President Trump is playing his card according to that. He's not playing the card according to Ukraine, or for that matter in Gaza, for that matter, or Iran. And everything is focused on China.
You think that what he's actually doing is trying to block China's supply of oil. And, of course, a lot of it comes from Iran. And before that, a lot of it came from Venezuela. So he's trying to... It's almost like a global kind of competition to be the top superpower, in a way.
Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Today... he's propping up the U.S. economy, of course. There's lots of jobs coming up, but jobs do not come back. The jobs that America lost in the past 30 years, thanks to the Bill Clintons, Obamas, and Bush 43s and Bidens, they sold U.S. to China and others, the U.S. interest. Now this is the president, America First president, is trying to gain the jobs that are lost back. Those jobs don't come back in 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, 2 years. They come back. What went away in 30 years, it will come back in a number of years. So he cannot go cash this thing, jobs at the elections. There is an election. You have to be realistic. So you have to give immediate results to them. Immediate results come by show of force. As a leadership, he shows a leadership in the world against Iran, against oil, against China. And this way, he's negotiating with China. He's trying to get those jobs back. But that's how he's doing it.
Now, I just want to briefly mention your book, Game Changer, that you wrote about Trump. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And I know you've got a piece coming out in the Daily Mail on Tuesday.
Well, in the Daily Mail article, I'm writing about what is the alternative way of oil or natural resources are coming from east to west. It's coming over Turkey. That's a reality. Everybody's looking at that. Okay, there are masses there. And my book has talked about that the U.S. has to work with Turkey in order to remain superpower. That's my simple argument. And why? Because this article in the Daily Mail, it will tell you all the oil that Europe needs, all the goods that London needs from China are coming over Turkey. That's the most secure middle route. And that works for the U.S. too, for the U.S. president, so that he can go mind his business in the U.S. instead of dealing with becoming the world policeman. He doesn't want to be a world policeman. He wants the reliable allies to take care of their share of the burden. And in the meantime, show a little bit force than who the U.S. is. To the world.
He wants oil, Bill. Erbil, he wants oil. Erbil Gunasti, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Erbil also represented 8 prime ministers of Turkey for 15 years, including the current Prime Minister, Tayyip Erdogan. Right, wonderful. OK, well, thank you to him. Don't forget his piece is coming out in the Daily Mail on Tuesday if you want to read that. But just a reminder, as it's just gone 17 minutes after 5 o'clock, friends of GB News can vote in today's You Decide poll for free. All you have to do is scan the QR code, and I'm I'm asking, should police forces drop DEI? Yes or no? Let me know what you think. I think I can guess, but I'm wondering what the exact percentage would be, because I can't imagine why anyone would want to keep it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. But right now it is time for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. Here are the details.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543.21 in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. Imagine all the things you could do with that cash. Give the garden a glow up, max out on a new motor, or just make sure the coming year is your year. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny for a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. If you just tuned in, where have you been? OK, well, we're near the end of the show now. 3 o'clock, don't forget. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News. Next up, difficult conversations, to be fair. You've come in at a good time because it's with NHS nurse Julia Taylor. She'll be joining me in the studio to discuss her new children's book to help families affected by dementia.
5 hosts,
5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon. If you just tuned in, welcome back. But you need to come here at 3 o'clock. You know that. We start at 3. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News. We are Britain's #1 news channel, and it is time for difficult conversations. And this week it is with Julia Taylor. Now, Julia is an NHS psychiatric nurse and is actually losing her voice due to a degenerative brain and spinal condition. Now, Julie has written a book called Nana McKee's Magical Memories. It is a dementia adventure, and she's done this because she wants to continue her legacy of caring for people and families affected by dementia. Now, I'm very pleased to say that Julia Taylor joins me in the studio from Newcastle, all the way from Newcastle, even though I did say her voice sounds like somebody from Sunderland.
Well,
not Sunderland. I went to uni there. OK, so Julia, talk to me about your voice. Why are you losing your voice? What's happening?
So I was diagnosed with MS when I was in my early 30s, and since then it's obviously affected my brain and my spine. And about 2.5 years ago, I started getting this pain across my face, and I thought, is it earache, is it toothache? No, it wasn't any of them. So I had an MRI scan, and because of the changes in my brain, the trigeminal nerve had moved on top of a blood vessel, and every time my heart beat, I was getting a shooting electric shock pain across my face. So I had brain surgery it was literally a week after I went to see the surgeon. I was in having the surgery. Came out with 24 staples in the back of my head. Oh my gosh. And it stopped this pain. But since then, 9 months later, it started again intermittently, and it's like and then straight across my face. And I find if I talk too much, if I'd been talking all morning, I wouldn't have been able to be here because I know I would be in pain, and I'm on medication for it. And I thought, you know what? I know in my heart, I love my job, I love it to pieces. But I know I'm going to have to retire due to ill health. And I know that not now, but at some point in the future, it might be next week, it might be 5 years, who knows? But because of that, I thought, I need to leave a legacy. So I thought, what do I know about? I know about dementia, teach about dementia, or I used to, but I can't now. What do I like? I like reading. I could write a book. I know what I'll do. There's been a 69% increase in young onset dementia since 2014, which means children are going to have to understand what dementia is. I'll write a children's book. So I did. I wrote a children's book, all on my phone, and it took about 3 years, sitting in my car, pulling over in lay-bys. I've had an idea, blah, 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 and then writing it, and then it all came together. And I thought, I'm going to have to do the pictures. Well, I can't draw to save my life now because I can't feel my fingers properly or anything. So I used AI for the first time ever. I was absolutely round the bend with it. It took weeks and weeks just to get the pictures right. But eventually I did get them right. Like, I'd give them to my auntie and say, does that look right? Julia, she's got plaits there and she's got a ponytail. Oh, gosh. So anyway, I wrote this book, and it's called Nana McKee's Magical Memories, a Dementia Adventure. And if you notice on the front, she's on a time machine. And I've put that because dementia takes you to a different time in your life. And the secret is to know where that person is in their life so that you can speak to them about what they're thinking at that time, because we have to enter their world because they can't enter ours anymore. And it's so sad.
What a wonderful book, though. Have we got a picture of it that we could put on the screen to show? Because I'm sure we did. There you go. There you go. Right. So, Nana McKee's Magical
Memories. And it starts off, these two children think, what's wrong with Nana? They go and visit her. They live round the corner. And it's set in Bedlington in Northumberland. Now, I set it there because I know that really well. And I thought, no, and I know the street, and I just had it pictured in my head. But I used my own family members' names, which made it so confusing for me to write, but I managed it. Anyway, it starts off, these two children think, what's wrong with Nana? There's something wrong with her. She's swearing at us now. And I have put 2 mild swear words in the book, and it's important to cover that because some people with dementia may never have sworn in their life, and all of a sudden they're effing and jeffing in the corner. And you're like, people get a shock. And it's quite a difficult thing for parents to sit down and say, look, your nana's got Alzheimer's dementia. And I chose to cover Alzheimer's dementia because it's the most common type of dementia. There's 934,000 people in this country right now with it. And 1 in every 3 seconds, somebody in the world gets diagnosed with it. It's going up and up. Yeah. There's over 100 types of dementia, but that's the most common. So anyway, these 2 children decide, right, we're going to have to speak to my mum and dad. Anyway, Millie, the young girl, she's 12, sits with her nana one night and says, let's have a girly chat, because she's had an upsetting day. So that she goes upstairs to put her brother to sleep in bed, comes down, and Nana Mackie's gone. She's just vanished. So there's ructions. Where is she? And the police get called. The police bring her back, and I covered that because that does happen sometimes. People with dementia wander out of their own home and go to where they maybe used to live because that's where they are in their time machine. Yeah. So the next day, the parents sit them down and tell them she's got Alzheimer's. The best thing you can do is go in her loft and go in her memory box and find out as much as you can about her life, and then you'll know where she is in her timeline. You can keep with that. She does things like there's a chiming clock she's looking for, but she sold it years ago. She gets really upset about it. She's constantly locking the door. She's getting the names of the kids mixed up, and they're like, what's going on? Anyway, they go in this loft and they find this brilliant leather book, and they open it and they look through it, and they've got loads of information. And as they close the book, it's like an enchanted magical book, and it takes them into Nana Mackie's memories from years ago, where they meet all of Nana Mackie's animals who are waiting for her at Rainbow Bridge, and that they teach them about dementia. And every single chapter in the book is a lesson about dementia, but it's mainly an adventure book. So that the kids don't get bored, because I need them to understand. I mean, I see kids playing outside care homes when I go into care homes, you know, and it nearly breaks me because they say to me, I'm too scared to go in there. People shouting it, and they get frightened, and they're left to play outside, and they miss out on vital emotional memories with their nana, and likewise the other way around. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm so passionate about dementia care. Yeah. I love looking after people with dementia. It's the best thing I ever did, honestly.
Well, the book it looks fascinating. And who's it targeted at? So is it really for children to read, or is it kind of anyone?
My idea was that parents could read it to their children and they can all learn, because I've put strategies to manage certain typical things that people with dementia do. Like they might wander off out the house, they might start swearing, they constantly do the same thing again and again, or they say the same thing, repetitiveness. Or they'll say, I want to go home, and they're sat in the living room. And you think, well, you are at home, you know, and they get the names mixed up. And the reason is because there's a family resemblance. And while Nana Mackie's gone back in her memories, something's cued her in, so she's gone back in her memory. And what she's looking at is her brother Bob, which is Liam, James, the boy, sorry, and her sister Margaret. Oh. So she's calling Millie Margaret, and she's calling James Bob, and it really upsets them. James gets upset and says, what's the point in coming?
Well, I'm glad you did get here, because it's really good to talk to you, Julia Taylor. Very briefly, so the book is called Nana Mackie's Magical Memories. Where can people get it? Where can they get hold of it?
On Amazon. It's just on Amazon. You can get it in paperback, and it's also on Kindle. I would get it on Kindle if I was you, because it's cheaper.
Yeah, and you are a nurse.
Yes.
And very briefly, what do you look mainly after people with dementia?
Yeah, my job's been obviously adapted a lot, and it can't be adapted anymore. And what I do now is go and do medication reviews in care homes. That's all. Yeah. Where I used to teach about dementia, I used to do loads more, but I can't now.
Yeah. Well, listen, you keep on this amazing journey. This is a wonderful book. I hope people get hold of it, have a read of it. You wrote this over 3 years on your phone. Yeah. And just whenever you got the thoughts to do it, it's quite an achievement. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me on.
So nice to meet you in person.
Yes.
That is Julia Taylor. A beautiful book, wonderful book. It's set in Bedlington. A lovely, warm-hearted book about Nana Mackie. All right, so stay with us, loads more still to come. 32 minutes after 5 o'clock. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. Coming up, the Great British Debate. I'm asking, should Sikhs be allowed to carry knives? You'll hear the thoughts of my panel, Layla Cunningham and Aisha Ali Khan. We'll be back very shortly.
Good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's the last of the hot spell today, especially in the southeast, with cloud and outbreaks of rain in the northwest before turning fresher with sunshine and showers through Sunday. So high pressure still situated across much of England and Wales. Northwestern areas, that's where we have the influence of low pressure. So a wet end to the day across Scotland. Northern Ireland could see some heavy downpours with thunderstorms as we head through this evening and overnight. They'll continue to push their way north and eastwards, all quite slow moving though, so could merge to give some longer spells of rain. Across the far southeast, that's where we hold on to the dry and clearest skies, but still rather warm. Temperatures here still holding up around 15 or 16 degrees. So still quite a warm, mild start to Sunday. Across Orkney and Shetland, that's where we have persistent rain to start the morning. Elsewhere, showery outbreaks of rain still could be on the heavy side, and that's a similar picture across Northern Ireland with a mixture of sunny spells. Across Northern England, showers, and likewise for northern parts of Wales. Across the southeast, though, should be a bright start to Sunday morning. But for all of us, it is going to be feeling fresher out there. We have a change in air mass. There's more in the way of cloud through Sunday. Scattering of showers, mainly out towards the west. Longer spells of rain across Scotland, and it's northeastern areas of Scotland where we could see some heavy, possibly thundery showers. But like I mentioned, with that fresher air in place, temperatures closer to the average for the time of year. Across the southeast now, highs of up to 24 degrees. Through Sunday evening, we'll still see spells of rain across Scotland. A few showers in the mix elsewhere, but they'll start easing. And then as we head to start meteorological summer, while it turns downhill, low pressure moves in to bring perhaps some welcome rainfall and temperatures returning to average.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
36 minutes after 5 o'clock, this is GB News. We are Britain's #1 news channel. I'm Nana Akua. Welcome, and it's time for the Great British Debate. I'm asking, should Sikhs be allowed to carry knives? Now, this follows the death of 18-year-old student Henry Novak, who was stabbed in Southampton by Vikram Digwa. The case has reignited discussion around the legal exemption that allows Sikhs to carry a ceremonial blade known as a kirpan as part of their faith. Religious councils will meet to review safeguards in a bid to change the law. So in the Great British Debate, I'm asking, what do you think? Should Sikhs be allowed to carry knives, and specifically the ceremonial knife? That's what we're talking about. Joining me now, Reform UK's 2028 London mayoral candidate Layla Cunningham, and also political commentator Aisha Ali Khan. Layla.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I want to frame the debate that this is not about Sikhs. You know, Sikhs, the Sikh community is overwhelmingly peaceful, and they've condemned, of course, the crime. But I think it has to be, should any group, no matter how peaceful and how respected they are, should they be exempt from laws about public protection? One of the fundamental tenets of this country is equality under the law, with no exception. And we believe that the only people that are should be allowed by law to carry lethal weapons, such as a knife, should be law enforcement. And I think it's a simple principle of equality under the law. And I think you can have equality under the law and freedom of religion. But I think rules have to be applied consistently. And I can understand the Sikh community will say, you know, it's only one, it's only two. Sadly, sometimes it takes one event to highlight that something has to change.
I mean, this case, again, we spoke about it earlier, it's horrific, but I do feel it would be wrong to punish the entire community. We've got...
Do you think that's a punishment, to say...
It's part of their faith to carry a kirpan, and majority of the Sikh men that wear the turban, they have it tucked into their turban or tucked under clothing, and this, I mean, this individual, Vikram Digwa, he actually was obsessed with knives. There was a collection of knives at home. There was footage of him practicing and, you know, taking part in these knife events. So he actually was somebody who was going to, it was sad to say, but it was an accident waiting to happen, a crime waiting to happen, sorry. But I do feel that, I mean, the Sikh community have come out and condemned the murder, and they've expressed solidarity with Henry Novak's family, and I do feel that it would be wrong to punish the entire community because of the actions of just one or two people.
Let me ask you an objective question. Why should Sikhs be allowed to carry knives?
It's part of their faith, and a majority of them carry them, but they conceal them in the turban, wrapped up in the turban or under clothing. And some Sikhs, once they've gone through certain processes and ceremonial processes, they have to wear a knife, a ceremonial knife, and it has to touch their skin. And I speak as a Punjabi myself, obviously I'm Muslim, but it's something that we grew up knowing about because obviously it's an integral part of our community, the Punjabi faith, the Punjabi community. And I do feel that it would be absolutely wrong to say this is part of your faith, but you have to leave the knife at home.
So I'm weary.
The kirpan, sorry, not the knife, but the kirpan.
I am weary about an argument that begins with they should be allowed to do this because of their faith. I feel that by definition of that, it could be extended to other groups depending on their faith, and I feel like laws should be designed around consistent principles as opposed to exceptions, especially when there are laws about public safety.
Yeah.
Let's say we banned face coverings. You know, someone could say, well, the Muslim community, you know, they want to cover their face, then there should be an exception. I do feel a fundamental, and not against any community or whatever, is equality under the law. Once you start making exceptions, where do you draw the line?
I feel that because we're obviously in the UK, and the laws that have been put into place to reflect the public, you know, Muslim communities, the Sikh communities, the Hindu communities, the Jewish communities, and it's really sad that it's taken this case, and we're talking about this, because Sikhs have been in this country for decades, and
you're framing it as an attack on the Sikhs. Right.
It will affect the Sikh community.
And listen, laws affect different communities in different ways. What if you framed it as a consistent law that nobody will carry a lethal weapon legally?
The kirpan is not
supposed... with that principle?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I speak as a teacher as well. We had this spate of stabbings. I was massively concerned at the time. I remember even having a conversation with my ex-husband about where can we buy a stab-proof vest for my son, who was a teenager at the time, and he was, you know, these are real concerns, by the way, that I've had, and again, mothers up and down the country as well. But the kirpan is not supposed to be used as a weapon. It's a symbolic symbolic knife. Often they're very small, they're blunt, they're not supposed to be used to attack people. The knife in question in this horrific case was actually not a kirpan, it was an additional weapon, and it was a larger weapon that was worn around the neck. And according to some of the Sikh elders that have come out, Vikram Digga was not even entitled to wear this massive ceremonial knife.
But there you go. There you highlight a problem with the policy. How do you prevent someone who wasn't allowed to wear it from wearing it? They could just claim that they are. And how do you prevent someone with criminal intent or mental health issues who's allowed to carry it from committing another offence? And it will be very difficult to stop that because they will be allowed to carry the knife. You do have unintended consequences that come from exceptions. And that's why I think a civilised country doesn't make exceptions for different groups. They have one law for everyone. It's clear, it's simple, everyone abides by it. And then there's, no one feels hard done by.
I think if this law, if we were to say let's ban all knives, including ceremonial knives, it would massively impact the Sikh community. They would actually feel singled out because it's part of their faith. What would they do?
The law? I mean, I hear
the laws in
somebody's
place.
criticised me there for calling the kirpan a knife. Yeah. Okay, a ceremonial blade, but
I mean,
apologies
it is a knife,
but it is a knife
yes.
Overall. But I do understand it. It does have a different name, which we did give the explanation of it. But I'm kind of with Layla on this. It's equality in the eyes of the law, and if you say you can carry that because of your religion and you can do that because of your, then where do you draw the line? Somebody could just make something up right now and say, well, because of my religion, I'm allowed to do this or do that, and I think we just have to have equality under the law, full stop, especially when it's weapons. Look, I'm going to read some of the comments, though, because a lot of people have said, commented about Julia, who came in, the nurse. Catherine says, what a brilliant book, Julia. I'm sure this will help so many people suffering from the loss of Alzheimer, dementia. Wishing you all the best. Caroline says, Julia Taylor's book sounds really good. It's a children's book, but adults will learn a lot. And there's a lot of nice comments there as well. Adrian says, a lovely Geordie lass with caring people like her. I'm pleased to say I'm from the northeast and work in the NHS mental health. Isn't she fantastic? So you go, there you have it. Lots of people giving Julie lots of great comments. Julia, lots of great comments, which she thoroughly deserves. But just to respond via a statement from the Sikh community, they've said on behalf of the Sikh organisations and communities across the country, we express our deepest condolences for the tragic loss of life, and our thoughts and prayers remain with the Novak family and loved ones during this profoundly difficult time. This incident, as reported, does not align with the Sikh faith and Sikh community or the principles it stands for. All right, well, stay with me. Coming up next, my Quick Fire quiz, where I test the panel on some of the other stories of this week.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're heading away this weekend, there will be some showers here and there across eastern areas of Europe, but mostly plenty of sunny and dry weather. You can see a few showers dotted around Greece and Turkey. Italy seeing the odd shower as well, but mostly it's going to be a predominantly dry and sunny picture if you're heading to parts of Europe. Across Madeira and to the Canary Islands as well, there'll be plenty of warm sunshine. Temperatures generally in the high 20s, if not low 30s. Have a good day.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I guess with football, it's very tribal. It's one communal identity with a shared purpose. And you're looking out on a match. You're not really looking at each other. So it's a very outwards display of something which is impacting them emotionally. But yeah, you're all together, you all want the same thing. That shared tribalism enables them to express those emotions that well. But what I think is great is that then they can recognise they have those emotions, and maybe they can lean in sometimes on those to other things which affect them more individually.
And Jo, of course, it's not just football. There are many other sports where people of both genders get really stuck in, but men in particular, as an average in this country, in terms of big spectator sports. And do you think that they sort of reveal and fulfil a role of sort of a primal instinct in a lot of men, of sort of belonging to something bigger than them, which would have been, facilitated in generations gone by, perhaps by work, by soldiering, by church? And with the decline of these communal experiences, sport now fulfills that role.
Groups of people that are driven by one purpose and one faith and one idealism, and there they all are together, and their emotions are really close to the surface. I mean, perhaps the downside slightly of sport is that if you take it really to heart, if you have a bad match and you lose, or your team loses, that can kind of impact some men for days on end. You know, they kind of go into not depression exactly, but certainly into a kind of spiral down into misery. So it has its downsides as well.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, it's time now for the quickfire quiz, the part of the show where I test my panel on some of the other stories hitting the headlines. Joining me, Reform UK's 2028 London mayoral candidate Leila Cunningham. Your buzzer, please. Please press your buzzer. And political commentator Aisha Ali Khan. Your buzzer, please. Please play along at home. Question 1, multiple choice. Which comedian is embarking on a UK tour celebrating more than 50 years since the release of Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Is it A, John Cleese, B, Michael Palin, C, Eric Idle? Leila Cunningham.
John Cleese.
Yeah, it is actually John Cleese, of course it is. Unfortunately, you could have had that, but you got in too soon.
I know. I was too eager.
All right, question 2, open question. Which famous English author has had his book Down and Out in Paris and London removed from the A-level syllabus from next year? Open question. Press your buzzers. Press your buzzer, come on. Aisha Ali Khan, you're a teacher, for God's sake. Press your buzzer. Come on. Who?
No idea.
All right, Lady Cunningham, you got an idea? Okay. It's George Orwell. All right. Question 3. Closest answer wins. The record for the hottest May temperature in the UK was broken this year as Kew Gardens in London. But what was it? I'll let you go through. What was it?
34.
Okay.
Something.
32.
32. If it's 33, it's 35.1. I'll give you that point, but remember, don't buzz until I finish.
Sorry.
All right, it was 35.1 degrees Celsius was the answer.
That's like Pakistan temperature.
All right, question 4, true or false? The items that Peter Murrell bought with £400,000 that he embezzled from the SNP included a pencil sharpener, olive oil and a silver wine coaster. True or false? Leila Cunningham.
True?
I think true as well.
No, God. She says true, say false, for God's sake. She might be wrong. All right, forget it. It's too late now. If it's false, it's true, though. Well done. You were right. But just say the opposite. It's 2-1. Question 5, multiple choice. The winner of the world-famous Gloucestershire cheese rolling contest on Bank Holiday Monday is from which county? Is it A, England, B, France, or C, Germany? Leila Cunningham.
Germany?
I think France. France.
I'm generous if I give you this one because you didn't press your buzzer. It's Germany anyway. Well done. 3-1. Well done. I'm just being mean, Aisha Ali Khan. But well done. 3-1. Leila Cunningham, you are today's victor for the quick fire quiz.
There you go.
Now,
well deserved.
Well done. Yes, you did. You did deserve that, to be fair. All right, throughout the afternoon, I've been asking, should police forces, should they drop DEI? And according to our results on GB News, 98% of you say yes. Just 2% of you say no. I think that makes perfect sense. And remember, we've got polls for free. You can always enter via the You Decide, scan that QR code. It's completely free. All right, I've got to say a huge thank you to my brilliant panel. Reform UK's 2028 London Mayor candidate, Layla Cunningham. Layla, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And also political commentator Aisha Ali Khan. Aisha Ali Khan, thank you very much for joining me today. Looks like she's about to go and watch the football by the
I am.
Well, thank you so much to you at home for your company as well. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time, same place. Be there, B Square at 3 o'clock. But right now, up next, it's time for the Saturday Five.
Thank you very much, Nana. Now, after your 3 hours of common sense, I'm afraid one of us is going to be arguing that Tony Blair should well be Prime Minister. Too much sun. Too much sun. We'll get to that and more. We've got Lord Heseltine coming up as well, and he's got a few things to say about Mr Farage. Find out in the next hour.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's the last of the hot spell today, especially in the southeast, with cloud and outbreaks of rain in the northwest before turning fresher with sunshine and showers through Sunday. So high pressure still situated across much of England and Wales. Northwestern areas, that's where we have the influence of low pressure. So a wet end to the day across Scotland. Northern Ireland could see some heavy downpours with thunderstorms as we head through this evening and overnight. They'll continue to push their way north and eastwards, all quite slow moving though, so could merge to give some longer spells of rain. Across the far southeast, that's where we hold on to the dry and clearest skies, but still rather warm temperatures here, still holding up around 15